2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
There were parents there of 8 and 9-year-olds who their kids are hearing some terms for sexual acts and then came back to the parents and said, "What is this?"
Ooh, that's a tough one. My daughter's memorized about 15 Nicki Minaj songs.
Oh, boy.
So she knows a little more than I am. Sometimes I go to her with questions.
What is WAP?
You know, it's an interesting moment, and it's related. When your kid drops a curse word on you, my daughter, like 9, didn't like this teacher. My daughter's this cute little thing. She goes, "Bleeping Miss What's her name?" I was like, whoa.
Working blue. Wow.
They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Aaron Rodgers speaks, and he is setting a crazy, crazy expectation for his comeback. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. So glad to have you on CBS Sports Radio. Were you surprised? Aaron Rodgers on the Pat McAfee show, we'll play you some sound in a second. He has maybe one of the most aggressive rehab plans that we've seen in a while.
No, I'm not surprised, because I was in America during this preseason of hype for Aaron Rodgers, and I just feel bad for Jets fans, because if you're buying this just like you bought the entire month of August and that fluff film that was Hard Knocks.
Oh no!
I mean, come on, Jets! You're like the tackling dummies of the NFL. You're going to believe again now that Aaron Rodgers is coming back for the playoffs? I mean, come on, how many times do you have to get your hopes up and then get completely blindsided?
Okay.
There's no way this is happening.
Well,
0.0 chance.
You are now going to be part of the chorus of haters that Aaron Rodgers says, or doubters, not haters, doubters that he says that's all the inspiration he needs. People like Perloff, who said there's no possible way that he could come back. And honestly, you can add me to the mix too. I think this sounds really crazy that he would be able to possibly come back for the playoffs this season as a future almost 40-year-old coming off of an Achilles. Let's hear a little bit from Rodgers. Here's what he had to say to Pat McAfee about his rehab.
I think what I'd like to say is, give me the doubts. Give me the timetables. Give me all the things that you think can, should, or will happen, because all I need is that one little extra % of inspiration. That's all I need. So give me your doubts, give me your prognostications, and then watch what I do.
Hell yeah. Let's go.
What do you say to that, Perloff?
I say this must be a millennial thing. Like, because if you're inspired by the doubters and the haters, why do you have to go out and tell the doubters and haters before, like, be inspired or work out and then say, like, old school, like the old Pittsburgh Steelers teams, they used to bring up the doubters and haters after they won the Super Bowl, not before in week 2.
Yeah, right. Like Coco Gauff who said, I want to thank all my haters when she's raising the trophy.
Be inspired by the haters. You don't have to come out and say I'm inspired by the haters when you're sitting in a hospital bed. He didn't even need the haters. He's like, I want some haters. I don't know.
Like,
that
bring
struck me
me
as
your
odd.
haters. Come one, come all.
But I mean, come on.
Soliciting haters.
I'm not going to. I bought into the Aaron Rodgers thing in August. I admit it. I was like, oh my God, this could be awesome. His attitude's amazing. He has such chemistry with his team. I will never buy into a Jets quarterback again the rest of my life. Maybe next year.
Snake bitten.
Next year he'll come back, which is great, which is a huge achievement in itself. But to raise this expectation of him coming back this year is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard.
Well, let's hear him talking specifically about that.
There's been some guys with some interesting timetables on Achilles returns, but it's just there's a process. There's certain markers we got to hit.
You trying to say you're coming back this season?
I'm not gonna make any of those statements.
Is it a possibility?
I think, as Kevin Garnett said, anything's possible.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you look at Cam Akers came back after about 5.5 months. Cam Akers is 20 years younger than Aaron Rodgers, and that was an incredible achievement. Terrell Suggs came back after 5 months, and people thought that was a miracle. 5 months puts you after the season.
Yeah, I mean, his last game of the regular season will be January 7th, which is a little bit less than 4 months away.
Yeah.
So that does seem unlikely. I'm a little nervous because I'm afraid this is going to get clipped by our producer and played when Aaron Rodgers does actually come back. But it seems so crazy and impossible to me. And it just makes me think, you know what? He's like a pro wrestler. He's just feeding like McAfee, of course, was in the WWE.
Yeah.
But I feel like he's just feeding lines into the universe. That's like, it was all lies coming into the season. We saw 4 plays in that the Jets experiment was a disaster. So I just think even if he does come back, he'll probably go out at 3 plays later.
Oh, no.
This is such a cursed situation. But don't you feel stupid about how hyped it? Like, I mean, Mike jumped off the entire Jets bandwagon after 5 plays because it looked awful.
That's because Mike is, turns out, fair weather fan after 40 years of your life. But here's the thing. Like, I don't know why this would be any different from just being a Jets fan regularly. But here's the thing. I think what he was doing here was a very specific message, and maybe a little for his own mental, hey, I'm going to get back. He admitted that he was sobbing tears when he was in the back of the stadium, like in the trainer's room after this happened Monday night. And as soon as Randall Cobb came in, apparently he just totally lost it. And there's like a human part of this for sure. But I think he's sending a message to the rest of the team. Like, you can't pack in the season because there's maybe a possibility that I could come back. But I also think Rodgers has a little bit maybe of a savior complex and loved that about New York, that he was treated like a savior with the Jets fans and wants the hero's welcome. He wants, forgive me for the New York reference, but everyone's like chasing a Willis Reed moment, like that he comes in hobbling and, and leads the team to a championship.
I am going to choose to ignore that message if that's what he's sending out, because he sent 45 messages in the preseason, and none of those messages meant a single thing. They meant nothing.
He got hurt.
All the love, all the good vibes. I mean, it was just a bunch of crap. I mean, it meant nothing, and that's why I don't even buy into all this. Aaron Rodgers, I'm a big Aaron Rodgers fan, actually, but this comeback talk,
I don't know it.
Well, I mean, I just think I've always liked Aaron Rodgers, but I feel like he is just like, it's hyperbole. It's sort of meaningless. He almost sounds like he's trying to convince himself. But the reality of NFL football is so stark, and that's reality. I'm mad at myself for buying into the Jets. I picked them to win the AFC East.
Yeah.
I was totally all in. That maybe I feel betrayed.
Back off my quarterback.
But now he's saying he's going to be back in 4.5 months from an Achilles tear.
Sorry, Samter, you're off. You can't get back on the bandwagon if Rodgers pulls some miracle thing.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I've never not been a Jets fan.
Yeah, right.
I've never left.
And when he goes to Germany and goes get his blood spun or whatever Kobe Bryant was doing back when he tore his Achilles, I'm sure Rodgers is going to do it, double. I guess I think, again, he's trying to convince a lot of people. And he also said that when he does get back to New York and he is able to move around a little bit, which is not the case right now, he can't put any weight on his leg, that he does want to maybe get a headset so that possibly he can have some input on calling plays for the Jets this season.
You're telling me Aaron Rodgers wants to speak into a microphone during the season? That's
even
weird.
when not for broadcast. That's what just like, only other coaches can hear that.
I will tell you one thing that is encouraging. If he's realistically even talking about 5 months, then I feel a lot better. I admit, and maybe I'm falling for it again. I feel better he'll be back next year.
I think he's going to be back next year. The problem is there's a reality, too. Like, no one doubts his determination. No one doubts that he's going to have the best care. No one doubts any of that. But, like, what is the reality of a 40-year-old coming off an Achilles? Like, the thing about Brady is he kept himself so healthy that he just had to deal with sort of getting older. He never had to deal with getting older and rehabbing off of something. And so
his major injury was way 2008
younger.
Or something.
And he's like, so Rodgers said, I want to, just because something hasn't been done doesn't mean it can't be done. That's a direct quote. And he's trying to obliterate this timeline. I wish him luck.
Can I fast forward to April? If the Jets aren't good, say they end up with a number 12 pick in the draft, and this is a heavy quarterback draft, and Michael Penix or somebody is sitting there.
Yeah.
He's also injured all the time. But what if the quarterback is sitting there? We're going to be having this debate all spring. Do you draft a guy to sit behind Rodgers when he comes back?
Yeah, first of all, it probably depends on how Zach Wilson looks. If there's somehow Zach Wilson looks like the second overall pick, then maybe that clears it up. But I think Rodgers is not going to want any part of that. Look at how determined. You might think it's eyewash, maybe it is, but how determined he sounded, from a hospital bed, basically doing this interview. He's not going to want the Jets to spend a first-round pick on something that he's going to be long gone for. Even if he can understand it intellectually, he's going to say, "Did you see the pass rusher for the Patriots who's a rookie? Like, this guy's impacting plays. Get me somebody who can actually impact while I'm here, and you're all in to win with me now."
We've seen that movie before in Green Bay.
I know, and I don't think he wants that same old thing again.
But I don't think he's going to be able to avoid it. I think that's going to be a real. It's such a love fest with the Jets. I would love if it went just for the drama, get your popcorn. If there's a fight between management and Aaron Rodgers in the offseason about this,
so he could pretend to retire again or think about it.
Well, I think he's going to follow the Favre steps and be somewhere else down the road, too.
That'd be interesting. I mean, the Jets are so all in on him. I mean, the one thing about Rodgers, and this is good, that he said he's going to be doing McAfee's show every Tuesday, so we're still going to get weekly updates on Aaron Rodgers' rehab for, however interested you are in the blow-by-blow of that. But it still doesn't solve the acute problem here, which is if Rodgers has any designs on actually coming back this season, again, that seems like a crazy long shot. What are they going to do at quarterback now?
Yeah.
Because you watched Kirk Cousins last night. It was a name that's been floated around quite a bit. And the Vikings are 0-2. And Kirk Cousins is a lame duck quarterback. It never happens, where he's a guy who people believe is a competent quarterback. He might not be elite, but he's clearly a starter in this league and a high-level one. The fact that he doesn't have a contract after this year could line up perfectly where the Jets are at.
Oh, first of all, it's the third time in his career he's been a lame duck quarterback.
Well, those were franchise tags before he really proved
Washington
he
let him
chose
go.
the second time because he knew he was going to get a massive payday. Ironically, took less money to go to Minnesota and not go to the Jets.
Can we make I am so confident Kirk Cousins not going to the Jets. I'm positive. And again, don't clip this if he does go to the Jets. There is no way this is happening for... Actually, we should save it. I know we have to break, but there's at least 5 good reasons Kirk Cousins will not be a Jet. And the fact that people are talking about this just shows there's so much lunacy around this one franchise.
Give us the biggest reason he's not going to be a Jet.
Why is a no-trade clause? And I don't know why he would want to come play for Nathaniel Hackett.
Okay, well, maybe not, but just to think about it, you say the Jets somehow pull off an upset of Dallas this week, right?
Yeah.
It's not crazy impossible. They could do it.
They go 2-0 with Zach Wilson, yeah.
Okay, they go 2-0 with Zach Wilson, but say Wilson still doesn't have a very impressive game. Say the defense forces a couple, pick six or whatever, and it's really more the defense. Then do you start thinking, well, all right, say the Vikings lose next week to the Chargers. Totally possible. And now the Vikings start 0-3. The Vikings need a future at the quarterback position. they might be a team that actually wants to start having designs on Caleb Williams or Drake May or someone like that. You got Justin Jefferson out here breaking records, feels like every game. Last night, he eclipsed 5,000 yards in only 52 games. He's the second. He's tied for the fastest in the history of the NFL. I mean, he's amazing. You can't, you got to figure out who's going to be throwing passes to him in the future.
Well, first of all, Kirk Cousins is a wide receiver yard machine. I mean, Diggs went to town with him, too. Like, Cousins throws a very catchable ball. But that's not reason. Basically, the Vikings, though, they haven't even started their NFC North schedule. At what point are they going to mail it in? And they've never mailed it in before. They have so many stars. I'm not sure I could see that. In the NFC North, you're telling me they're going to find a way to lose to the Bears twice to get Caleb Williams?
I don't know about. Might be hard. You got to commit to the tank. 855-212-4CBS.
I mean, they kind of outplayed the Eagles last night.
They made it a game last night.
They had 4 fumbles, and Kirk Cousins threw for almost 400 yards and 4 TDs. That's a tanking team? It seems odd to me.
No, it's not yet. It's not yet. But at some point, you have to put the future of the organization. Like, if they don't re-sign Cousins, what is the future for them at quarterback? Like, these are massive questions. And
free agent or draft?
And free agent, though, that can be tough. And you do have Jefferson, who's awesome, and Jordan Addison looked amazing again.
So even if you keep Cousins, just draft a quarterback next year. What's the problem?
I get the sense that Cousins and the Vikings, that this is it.
Yeah. This is the end of the road. So next year, just draft a new quarterback and play him.
Where are you drafting him?
Probably 10, 11, 12.
I don't know if they're going to be up that high. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227, unless they commit a little bit more. Because you're right, they're going to be playing the Bears. They'll probably end up splitting with the Lions and with Green Bay.
Yeah, I mean, they're not a terrible team. They should have won week 1. They had a crazy red zone thing against the Bucs. It totally blew that game. Last year they were lucky. This year they've been unlucky, but that's going to even out. They lost 4 fumbles last night.
Coming up, we have some struggles for someone we expect to be an MVP-level quarterback in the NFL. But want to get your thoughts on Rodgers and this timetable. Do you believe he could come back this season? This season? Like right now? 855-212-4CBS. It is Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio. And this show is sponsored in part by BetterHelp. Do you ever find that just as you're trying to fall asleep, your brain suddenly just won't stop talking? Thoughts start racing right before bed or at maybe other inopportune moments? It turns out one great way to make those racing thoughts go away is to talk them through. Therapy gives you a place to do that so you can get out of your negative thought cycles and find some mental and emotional peace.
We've all been through some unpredictable times over the past few years, and it's not a sign of weakness to ask for help. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Get a break from your thoughts with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/MNP today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/MNP.
You're in a 4-minute break. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Stream the NFL on Westwood One for free, sponsored by AutoZone. All season long, you can listen to every Westwood One broadcast of the NFL live on the NFL app by asking Alexa to open Westwood One Sports or on the Odyssey app. Get in the zone, AutoZone. AutoZone's free battery testing and charging is available for free at your local AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply. Sorry, we're a second late there. Maggie and I were breaking down the lines for week 2.
Well, we're going to make our picks later in the show, of course, but Stu and I do have our bet for Bills Raiders.
What
Stu,
are the stakes again?
we're good on these terms here.
I think we are very good on these terms.
Okay.
What are they?
I'm
I don't
very happy
remember
with
at all.
these terms.
Okay, so Stu, diehard Raider fan. I'm the Bills fan. So Raiders come to Buffalo. Buffalo is an 8.5-point favorite. I think this game's going to be close. So if the Raiders cover the spread and are closer than 8.5, then I buy pizza for Stu. If the Bills blow them out, because Stu has no faith in the Raiders right now, if the Bills blow them out and win by more than 8.5, then Stu will buy lunch.
Yeah. Can I get in on Stu's side? Because Stu knows his Raiders.
Yeah, but I know my Bills. And I think we both have reasons to feel a little dicey about our teams.
Give me one reason to feel dicey about this for the Bills. Everything in history.
It's possible that the star wide receiver could be so upset about a team reporter getting caught in a hot mic calling him a jerk that he might be totally in his feelings. I have no idea. He's
not a child. He's an NFL professional football player. He's going to be fine.
I think so. He's always been a pro. Like, I don't mind that he yells at Josh Allen. I thought people made too big of a deal about that. Guys get caught up in the heat of the moment. He was very... he was pumping up Josh Allen at MetLife Stadium on Monday. It's not that I think he's childish. That's not it. He'll be a pro. I just think that, have the cracks and the fissures already started, and if they don't win, it's just going to, keep putting pressure on guys in that locker room, specifically Allen.
I mean, it's the Raiders coming to the East Coast for a 1:00 game. Unless the Bills forget how to play football altogether, they're going to win this game.
They did forget how to play football against the Jets.
They lost that same game to the Jets last year, then came back and killed the bad teams.
I know, but it felt better it felt better last year, even though they lost to the Jets because they'd already won a bunch of games. Like, you already had proof that the season wasn't going to be a complete nightmare. This time, I don't have proof. Meanwhile, your Eagles last night, Perloff, that game was odd. Started off extremely boring and weird, and then oddly picked up at the end of the game where the Vikings really tried to make a big effort to come back. One of the pivotal moments was a Justin Jefferson fumble out of bounds out of the end zone, over the pylon. They had to review it, confirmed fumbling out of the end zone, which gives a touchback to the Eagles. It felt like a major point in the game last night.
Not to me.
Why?
I felt like that game was, from 8 minutes in, was not ever a contest. And I'll tell you why.
8 minutes in, it was 3-0 Eagles.
There was already like 9 fumbles by 8 minutes in.
That's true.
You cannot, there's no team that can run like that and lose a game in the NFL. I couldn't believe, what were the Vikings doing? Like, Jalen Hurts didn't look great. Yeah, because the Vikings were in a coma defensively. They just didn't refuse to stop the run. Have you ever seen, what's the last time you saw a team run like that?
I think Brian Flores, is a very good defensive coordinator.
Based on what?
Well, based on the fact that he always got the Miami defense to play very well. And I thought it was weird, though, because they couldn't stop the run. But there was a moment where A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts are going at it a little bit on the sidelines. The coaches had to come in and other teammates had to come in. And and then they immediately start going to A.J. Brown.
Yeah,
it's like, oh my gosh, are they going to go away from the run just because this wide receiver's complaining?
Yeah, that was the only bad drive they had, was when they were trying to force it to A.J. Brown. And you know why? Because A.J. Brown was triple teamed, because every single Vikings defender was 45 yards from the line of scrimmage. I don't know what was happening. So the Eagles, 2 weeks in a row, they've played with their food. They've had big leads and gone into the prevent defense and made the other team look good, the other quarterback look good. Yeah. It's an illusion. I'm telling you. I mean, was that game?
I don't think it was an illusion. I think it's the Eagles still finding their footing. I don't know if they're playing with their food like on purpose.
They were 27-7.
I know, but then they allowed Minnesota to get back into it.
Because they were just playing prevent defense, and the second they needed to actually drive the ball down the field, they just came right down as easy as pie and scored. The other thing, too, by the way, Nick Sirianni made a huge mistake last night that no one's talking about. They're up 34-21, 13 points, and they go for 1 instead of 2. Which is that's a huge error, because then Minnesota, if they hit the onside kick, would have had the game-winning touchdown.
Yeah.
So the Eagles didn't have a preseason. Their coaching staff didn't have a preseason. But did you really think?
Why didn't they have a preseason?
Well, they didn't play their starters. I mean,
but the coaches still were out there.
I don't
coaching.
know. They're new coaches. They're out of their mind.
Okay.
But can I ask you a question? Did you really think the Eagles were in trouble last night?
No, because there just wasn't enough time left on the clock by the time the Vikings got their acts together.
Yeah.
I thought you were fine. And it's impossible to recover an onside kick these days.
Yeah, I mean, it was just so weird how they just refused to stop the run.
Well, DeAndre Swift, 28 carries for 175 yards. I mean, that's a day.
Yeah, and it was so easy. They had no choice. So here's the other thing, too.
Although Jalen Hurts did not – okay, he has not looked awesome the last 2 games, but I think it's probably a part of our expectations on Hurts.
Well, okay. He was 18 for 23, so he missed 5 passes.
Yeah, not bad.
One of them was a bomb to A.J. Brown that was clearly pass interference. The entire world knew it was pass, except for the Amazon officiating expert, Terry McCauley, who is such a league apologist. It's ridiculous. Another one.
Zing. Take that, Terry.
Another one was an interception on 3rd and 16 where he did 30 yards. Yeah. He didn't miss anything last night. They were just not giving him anything, so he was smart. He just handed the ball off.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I guess, it's not, I'm not alarmed for Jalen Hurts. It just doesn't look like necessarily the MVP level that we left off seeing Jalen Hurts.
He didn't run very well. But I have no idea. They took what the defense gave them.
And that's fine. I like when quarterbacks do that, because you get out with a win. I also don't think that, I'm monitoring Jalen Hurts, though, because I don't know if he's going to be like that top tier quarterback. We've got to see him follow up what he did last year, and I want to see it a little bit.
Well, he is going to have a lot of rushing touchdowns because the push is back and it's spectacular. I mean,
it's spectacular. I feel like ugly as sin.
Shane Steichen tried last week and they didn't even get the first down with Anthony Richardson. It's such a PED. It's such a performance. The Eagles look much better than they are, because 4th and 1 Give him the first down.
I just feel like if you didn't have Jason Kelce as your center, I don't know if you could do it. Like, I don't know, or something about your offensive line.
I feel like it's Jalen Hurts' thighs. That's what they said last night. They're like, he squats 7,000 pounds. So
why then, like, other teams should do, like Saquon Barkley, they call Saquads, you know, they should just have him come in and take the snap.
I don't know why all 32 teams aren't running that play. What is it called?
Like a rugby play.
Yeah, the Hurts push.
The tush push.
Yeah, and last night they had a 4th and 2, and he gained 4 yards.
Yeah. 855-212-4227. Want to hear from you, and let's give you a call. Let's hit the phones. Jack is in Illinois. He's got a thought on what the Jets do now with Rodgers. Well, he's out with an Achilles tear. Jack, what's up?
All right. Thanks for taking my call. I heard you guys mention maybe the Jets go first-round quarterback. I pray to God that's not the case because we cannot let that happen again. I mean, they keep going first round and they ruin these prospects. I mean,
you're worried about the prospects?
First round, second round. I mean, the Jets will find a way to ruin any quarterback.
Exactly. And they're going to, if they do grab a quarterback, which I pray to God they don't, I hope they take Deion Sanders' kid just so Deion has to support the Jets.
That would be good.
Jack, thank you so much for the phone call. Yeah, like Joe Douglas, the general manager, has had some real hits with his drafting. Obviously, Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, but he did draft Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson stinks, and it's the same people. Maybe you could argue it's like, oh, it was COVID times. Maybe you didn't get as much tape as you wanted to see. I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, Zach Wilson has an arm. Yeah, I think Trey Lance, that's the argument with Trey Lance, too, that they didn't really get a chance to talk to everybody. That's a great idea. Bring in Shedeur Sanders just so Deion is on your side.
Yeah. Listen, Deion has hit every note, and we'll get more to Deion's latest for today. Just playing this thing, just picture perfect. Like motivationally, public relations-wise, all that stuff, Deion is just on a heater. Like he can't miss.
Oh, well, yeah. I thought he wasted too much energy on Colorado State, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah. All right. Coming up next, the 17-year NFL veteran, now on Amazon Prime Video, one of the best beards in the business, Ryan Fitzpatrick, is going to join us in just moments after this CBS Sports Update. Here's Marco Belletti.
CBS Sports Radio. Sports Flash.
All right, guys. Well, Aaron Rodgers spoke for the first time since his Achilles tear. Wouldn't close the door on a possible return for this season. It's courtesy of the Pat McAfee Show.
You trying to say you're coming back this season?
Yeah, what's happening? Are you coming back for the playoffs this year?
I'm not gonna make any of those statements. I don't feel like that's fair to myself. I'm just.
Is it a possibility?
I think, as Kevin Garnett said, anything's possible.
Meanwhile, the team the Jets beat in Week 1, the Bills were done in by 4 more turnovers, including 3 picks, but Stephon Diggs not concerned about Josh Allen.
It's nothing that he did prior to that game that would have made me think he wasn't focused. He's been the guy that's working hard and doing all the right things. It's never going to be that. So I feel like at this point, it's a new week. Shake it off. You're going to fly around. Receivers going to catch. Quarterback's going to throw. Lineman going to block. Running back's going to run a little bit, I hope.
The house for Travis Kelce, Chris Jones, both expected to make their Chiefs debut Sunday against the Jaguars after Kelce missed Week 1 with a knee injury and Jones was still on the holdout. And after a loss to Texas, Jalen Milroe throwing a pair of interceptions, it seems Alabama is making the switch to Tyler Buchner. Reports are the former Notre Dame starter will get the call Saturday against South Florida. I'm Marco Belletti.
Coming up later on the Zach Gelb Show, it's a Football Friday. We'll get you set for another weekend of college football and the NFL. 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 Pacific.
CBS Sports Radio.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Perloff, it's always our pleasure when we get to talk to a 17-year veteran in the NFL, one of our favorites. It's Ryan Fitzpatrick. Of course, you watch him on Amazon Prime. He was on the game last night. Your Eagles and the Minnesota Vikings. He's now part of Jameson's Touchdown in Dublin event, which is really cool. We'll get to that in just a moment. Ryan, thanks so much for the time.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
And I love that you're the Amish Rifle. That's the name on your Zoom right now. So way to lean in. First thing, a couple things about last night's game. Eagles end up winning this game. The Vikings made it close at the end. If not for Justin Jefferson fumbling the ball and the ball going out of the back of the end zone, resulting in a touchback, this would have been a really close game. Do you like that rule, or is that something the NFL should do away with?
I'm just not sure what the alternative would be, because I think you have to – I do like the fact that you have to punish them for fumbling it into the end zone. I mean, guys reaching over, it makes it a real risk-reward play. But, yeah, that one, there was a buzz in the stadium trying to figure out because it didn't seem like there was a great angle to really determine like if it was or not over the pylon. So that was a cool moment to be in the stadium, to kind of hear the buzz. And then obviously that ended up being a 10-point swing for them to not score the touchdown, and then Philly to go kick a massive field goal before the end of the half. That was a big part of the game.
Ryan, the Eagles are 2-0, which is great, but the passing game just looks off. I thought, and you pointed out some things that Jalen Hurts missed last night. Is that just because the running game was so good last night, or should Eagles fans be worried?
Well, I will tell you, Eagles fans were booing the offense early on in that game in the home opener, so expectations are really high. But I thought Brian Johnson did a great job as a young coordinator of adjusting to what Brian Flores was giving him on the defensive side, and just handing that ball off and having the patience to continue to handle that off. I think in the first two games, and really, I think if you take a deep dive into the stats of Jalen Hurts, but these first two games versus the Patriots and now the Vikings, zone coverage has given him some issues. He's really effective versus man coverage. He's got those two dynamic playmakers on the outside, and obviously Dallas Goedert, the catch and run god on the inside. But he had some issues last night when they dropped back into zone of not being able to, find the pass or the window and taking some sacks. So that's something going forward that we're going to have to look at. And then the passing chart too, if you look at it, there was really an absence of throws over the middle of the field. So there's some stuff they have to work on, and that'll be with Brian Johnson and their passing coordinator, Kevin Patullo, and Jalen Hurts to get in and work on.
Ryan Fitzpatrick, our guest, on behalf of Jameson Touchdown in Dublin event. This is kind of a little bit of a show debate, Ryan, that's come up over the last couple of days, which is Jalen Hurts had an unbelievable season last year, an eyelash from the Super Bowl. He was second in MVP voting. He got the big contract, but we can't tell, is he more like on the tier of Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow, or is he more on the tier of like Dak Prescott? Is he one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the league, or is he a little more like one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the league? I know might seem like a small distinction, but we're just not sure.
Yeah. Is there a tier in between those two tiers? Maybe he's on that tier, but I think Jalen Hurts is on a great football team. And I think Jalen Hurts' skill set does things to make that football team great. They've got a great offensive line. He's got great weapons. He throws a great deep ball. So you saw right away the chemistry with A.J. Brown last year and what they're able to do. Devontae Smith, and I said it last night, he's a top 10 receiver. He really is. It's going to be really interesting to see if they're able to keep him in a few years and how his career progresses. But, Jalen, I was on a call during the Super Bowl. I was calling the game for London, and was so impressed with the way he saw the field, with the way he threw the ball, his accuracy. Last year was interesting because they were in so many games when they built up big leads in the first half, and he wasn't really in a lot of the games where they had to use his arm to kind of win games and pull them out at the end. So I think they're going to be more of those this year, and we're going to get a better sample size and taste of who he really is as a playmaker through the air as a quarterback.
Right. On the other side of the ball, Kirk Cousins, big numbers again last night, but they're 0-2. Listen, I mean, there was some rumblings last night about it too. Do you think there's any chance, I'm going to just bring up the New York Jets, would call about Kirk Cousins? And, what is Kirk Cousins' future in Minnesota? Is this going to be the end of the run?
Well, it's a tough situation because you've got a guy that won 13 games last year as a quarterback, but now he's a lame duck quarterback and didn't get a contract extension. That's pretty unheard of right now in this day and age of the NFL and the need for a franchise quarterback. I'm going to keep my eye on that all year long, just the Kevin O'Connell, Kirk Cousins dynamic, because I think that's going to be really interesting. But Kirk played really well last night. They were missing their center. They got down to their third string left tackle. He was getting beat up. They were definitely outmanned. The defensive line of the Philadelphia Eagles is as advertised. Oh my goodness. They are really good. So Kirk was getting hit early. It was really impressive for him to be able to stand in the pocket as the game went on and deliver some of those passes. But I just don't see any world where the Jets are going to trade for Kirk Cousins. I don't see any world where Minnesota is going to trade Kirk Cousins to the Jets. There's a lot of people that sit on the panel with me that do think it's going to happen, though. I would be really happy for the Jets to go after somebody like Jameis Winston. If they could pull him away from New Orleans, I think he'd be a great fit for that team and what they're looking for right now.
Of course, you played with Jameis in Tampa, but you are a former Jet as well. There was some speculation that maybe the Jets would give you a call, Ryan, to try to pry you out of retirement. Did they call you?
I am happily retired and not coming out of retirement. So that was a non-starter.
So they did not call you?
Unless they lost my number. I don't know. I've just been sitting staring at my phone. But
listen, you won 10 games for the Jets. They should certainly have your number. Why is Jameis, why is he the answer for the Jets as they're trying to recover off of Rodgers' torn Achilles?
I still believe in my heart of hearts that Jameis is a top 15 quarterback in this league. And there's a lot of people that will not share that opinion with me. But, I was able to work with and see him work for 2 years, and the talent that he has and the ability to process things and the work ethic and all those little things. And I've just been really impressed with him. I was surprised that he stayed with New Orleans this offseason, but I just see this as a great chance for him to hit reset on his career and get back into the conversation of being a top 15 quarterback.
You had a funny line on the Manning cast about Zach Wilson throwing 40 yards for a 5-yard pass. What do you do if you're the Jets coaching staff? And this week they just have Zach Wilson. Is there any way they can figure out a game plan against this ridiculous Cowboys defense?
Yeah, the schedule's not doing him any favors to have to go against Dallas this week. But, he's got to play in rhythm. He's got to get the ball out quick. Obviously, the Jets with Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook should be able to get a little bit of a running game going. I mean, it was really good in that first game to see Breece Hall healthy again, coming off the ACL last year because he was having a great season. But Nathaniel Hackett has to do a good job of making sure that Zach is decisive and getting the ball out. They can also use his athleticism, get him outside the pocket a little bit for some of those deeper throws, but he gets into trouble when he escapes out of the back of the pocket. So climbing the pocket, if he's escaping, maybe you're just escaping through the middle of the pocket and running with the football. And that's where they can start. But once he goes backwards and escapes out the back, a lot of bad things happen.
Ryan Fitzpatrick is our guest. He's joining us on behalf of Jameson Touchdown in Dublin event. You can go to jamesonsports.com. Basically, what the idea is, you're trying to get an NFL game in Dublin. We've seen, obviously, Notre Dame play in Dublin. But, Ryan, I'm wondering if you would put real stakes on this. Like, if we, support this cause and get an NFL game in Dublin, would you shave the beard?
No. No. Yes, I think it's a cool concept, though. Jameson came to me and just the unofficial calling to get a pro game in Dublin. I think it's such a cool idea. I wanted to get behind it, and we're just trying to rally people around this idea. So hopefully something gets announced by the beginning of next football season. And if it does, Jameson's willing to fly a bunch of people out there to join me to have a good time out there.
JamesonSports.com.
Regular season game, Ryan? Are you preseason okay? I feel like you want to go to Dublin. That seems like a priority.
I'm just trying to get a trip to Dublin. So.
God knows it's impossible for someone named Ryan Fitzpatrick to find his way to Dublin. JamesonSports.com, again, that's where to go. Want to ask you about Tua Tagovailoa, someone who you were also there for his beginning and the beginning of his NFL career. I mean, what's the ceiling for him? He's second in MVP odds right now, Ryan. I mean, where do you see his career going if he stays healthy?
Yeah, I think that's the big one. If he stays healthy, that's the question mark with him right now. Last year, he was having a great season, and he had the injury issues pop up. He's really put a lot of work into it to try to figure out how to stay healthy. And look, as a quarterback, some of it is luck, and some of it is just trying to keep yourself out of those situations. And there's only so much you can do because you're back there and people are coming to hit you every play. But really impressive to see the way he started the season. I just think it's so much fun to watch him. The ball comes out of his hands so fast. He makes those decisions so quickly, and he's got great playmakers on the outside. So, one of the cool stats from week one was the ball came out of his hand. I think he was in the top 5 in terms of quickest, but he also had the most air yards. So Tua's not a guy that is going to hang on to the ball, a guy that's always looking at those checkdowns. That ball's going down the field, and that offense is designed for him to get the ball down the field to Tyreek and Jalen Waddle, and it's a perfect marriage with him and Mike McDaniel. So it was nice to see, and I think that'll continue, but they're going to scare a lot of teams this year with the amount of points they can put up.
Ryan, I'll go ahead and ask the Josh Allen question because Maggie's a diehard Bills fan, whole life, and a little bit of panic there. Was that the real Josh Allen?
Yeah. You're being kind.
Was that the real Josh Allen in week one, or are we going to see a bounce back here for the rest of the season?
We'll see a bounce back. I mean, my disappointment with week one was just the awareness of the situation, right? Aaron Rodgers goes down. They're up 10 points. Zach Wilson's in at quarterback. They're up 10 points at halftime. To know what type of game it is. It wasn't the type of game where you had to put on the cape and be Superman. It was the type of game where you just had to manage it and get them through and get some first downs, and they would have won that one. So that was tough to see. Sometimes that's just knocking off the rust too from the offseason, getting into an actual game, because you got to remember, us quarterbacks, we don't get hit in the offseason. We don't get touched. People have to run by us. They get yelled at if they get within our little force field that we have in practice. So I think that's what some of that was. But the place I've seen a regression in Josh since Dable left is just his decisiveness in the pocket, delivering the football. He's always going to have those amazing wow plays when he gets out of the pocket, when he scrambles and runs. He even had the scramble where he had the touchdown to Stephon Diggs. I don't know how he wasn't over the line of scrimmage, but he wasn't over the line of scrimmage. But playing more decisive from the pocket is, I think, something I want to see from him, because there was a regression in that last year, and that popped up again in this first game.
I think that pinky toe was the last thing on the line of scrimmage before that touchdown, right? I mean, one thing for Bills fans that we're keeping an eye on, and we're not in the locker room, right? So we're concerned, I think, about the relationship between Josh and Stephon Diggs. We're a little concerned about where Stephon Diggs, where his head is at right now. Definitely took it personally when a team reporter was caught on a hot mic, saying some critical things about him. And it's just those little things feel like the small cracks and fissures that can happen in a locker room. Do you think that they can overcome this? Like, if you were the quarterback now, how did you get past, issues that would come up with wide receivers, or even saw Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown getting into it last night a little bit on the sideline? How did you approach that? And for both of these examples, how do they get through it?
Yeah, I think the easiest solution to that is to win football games. Winning has a way of curing everything. So even the A.J. Brown situation, he's so fired up because they're running the ball. He's not really getting his catches. He's watching Justin Jefferson on the other side of the football catching a bunch of balls and just boiled over. But they win the game. He comes in, he settles down, and they move on to the next week. With Stephon Diggs, he's such a great competitor. And the thing I'd like to see, and the thing that we saw during the Jets game, yes, there's been all kinds of reported frustrations and everything, but Josh really struggled that game. They're down 16-13, and they've got a 2-minute drive, and Josh is sitting on the bench. and Diggs comes up to him, and he's like, okay, let's go. This is it. And they go down. He has a couple passes to Steph, and they, end up kicking the field goal to send it to overtime. So a lot can be made of those little sideline spats, but you have to imagine just how competitive of an environment this is. And when things aren't going right, you're not getting the ball as a receiver, you're losing football games, they tend to boil over. So winning cures all, is I guess what I'll say with that.
Ryan, I got to get in a Dartmouth question. So I went to Dartmouth. Do you remember your record in Hanover? I'm assuming 0-2.
Well, a quick funny story. One of the years we played at Dartmouth, it was a snow game, and Neil Rose was the starting quarterback, but I had been coming in a little bit, and so my coach wanted to keep me warm, so he put me at receiver for like 5 plays. First time I've ever played receiver on any level, and on those 5 plays, I think I got a holding call, an offensive pass interference, and a false start, and so he quickly took me out, and realized that wasn't a good idea.
What could have been?
I think that's a smart move. That's a smart move. They'll never put you at wide receiver again, and now you just go back to playing quarterback, right? This is like when my husband claims that he doesn't know how to do the laundry. It's like, well, I didn't know I could mix the lights and the darks, and now he never does it ever again. Like, brilliant, Harvard, brilliant.
May have been intentional. Yeah.
Of course, Ryan Fitzpatrick joining us on behalf of Jameson, the Touchdown in Dublin event. You can go to jamesonsports.com. That's where you can find more information. Even if we get an NFL game in Dublin, Ryan not shaving the beard. Won't do it.
No.
Ryan, thank you.
All right. Thank you guys so much.
Welcome back to Maggie.
Appreciate his healthy respect for the big green, Dartmouth, of course. It's time to ask the pros, where you, the listener, gets asked a question brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Simply tweet your question at CBS Sports Radio or at Maggie and Pearl using the hashtag Ask the Pros. Be listening later in the show when we might answer your question. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Coming up next, Deion strikes again, and we hear from Aaron Rodgers. What did he have to say about his rehab from his Achilles surgery and the crazy timeline he may be putting on a comeback? Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
We were talking about sports triggers. Mike is in Pennsylvania, has got one.
We never should have let Jimmy Butler go.
No.
Come playoff time?
I was tickled by it. He's got a laugh that makes me laugh. People said Kawhi Leonard in the chat.
Yes. Very much. Wow. Wow. Maggie, I think the Sixers are going to win the NBA championship this year.
The Bills will win a Super Bowl.
Don't say that.
The Jets will have a solid, dependable, steady season with no drama.
It's so good.
Can I just do one more?
Yeah, go ahead.
The Mets are going to figure it out.
That's just mean. We're just piling on Maggie.
It's so easy.
I threw in the Jets, too.
They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Well, not only is Aaron Rodgers planning to come back, he's going to do it in a crazy, crazy timeline. Hey, it's Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. This is Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio. Perloff, Andrew.
Yeah.
Andrew Perloff, Aaron Rodgers speaks for the first time since he's had his Achilles surgery, and he's being very aggressive on the timeline to come back, even leaving the door open that he could return this season.
Yeah, I think your mistake there was Andrew Perloff has as good a chance as Aaron Rodgers to play for the Jets this season.
I was doing like the last name, comma, first name, Perloff,
well, I mean,
comma, Andrew.
Is this hype train just going to continue forever? Is Aaron Rodgers going to keep on lifting the hopes of Jets fans just to crush them again and again and again? He might as well be the permanent Jets quarterback, because this is so Jetsian that he would, not only would he get hurt, but then he would raise this idea that he's going to come back this year. So Jets fans are like, well, maybe we got something going here. And you know how it always ends for Jets fans, Maggie.
Yeah, he shouldn't give them this kind of hope. He's sort of dangling it out in front of them. I mean, I don't think he's doing that to be like a masochist. He just doesn't realize the history probably and the tortured history of the Jets. Maybe he does, but I mean, I think that he's either saying this to get himself through this mentally, or to try to send a message to the team, stay engaged, don't fold this thing, don't pack it up, because if you end up making the playoffs, which I still think they have a shot to do, I could come back and ride in like a white knight.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more that he's talking to himself. Like, I think he wants to keep himself inspired. You could hear the inspiration in his voice. He was talking about other athletes who've come back from this.
Yep.
So I think I'm not sure that stuff about this year is realistic, but I do think, like, he is really intent on being back for next year, which was my big concern, because if he doesn't have a training camp next year, he's going to be 40, coming off an Achilles. Like, he's got to get back in time to actually practice a little bit, get to know the team again. So, again, I think it's unrealistic to say this year. And I don't know, man. I'm so over Aaron Rodgers after what happened. I was so in, Maggie. I said to myself, coming into August, you remember, I was like, this is enough Aaron Rodgers. And then
you got your wish.
He whittled away all month, and then I'm like, New York Jets are winning the AFC East. And look what happened.
Looks what happens. Just when you let your guard down, Aaron Rodgers goes down after 4 snaps. Here is Rodgers talking about his future plans.
I think what I'd like to say is, give me the doubts. Give me the timetables. Give me all the things that you think can, should, or will happen. Because all I need is that one little extra % of inspiration. That's all I need. So give me your doubts, give me your prognostications, and then watch what I do.
Hell yeah. Let's go.
That was courtesy of the Pat McAfee Show. And Perloff thinks bulletin board material doesn't help. Come on. Rodgers is saying, give me your doubters, and I'm going to prove them all wrong.
Well, it sure didn't help with week 1. I mean,
he got hurt in a fluke.
Let me ask you a question. Put yourself in Robert Saleh's shoes. Say Aaron Rodgers does come to you, and I say, I found this wonder herb in the Amazon, and I'm healed. Can I come back on the field? Any coach that lets Aaron Rodgers at his age come back on the field after having an Achilles 4 months ago should be sued for malpractice, because he couldn't even stay on the field for 5 plays not coming off an Achilles. Can you imagine how vulnerable he's going to be if he tries to come back early? I mean, he might not ever walk. He might not walk again. It'd be crazy to put him out there.
It is laughable. Do you really think, in terms of who has power and say and pull in the Jets organization, Aaron Rodgers or Robert Saleh? Come on. Rodgers gets to do whatever he wants. Why do you think Randall Cobb is on the team? I mean, Alan Lazard's actually, I think, a fine receiver, but he has the run of the place. They're not telling him what to do. He's telling them what to do.
So you think people are going to put him out there?
I think he gets to decide. I don't know if he'll be ready. I mean, this is insane, right? We're talking about a 40-year-old. We're talking about, 4.5 months, maybe 5 months of rehab. He's not Cam Akers. I mean, that's a little different.
Yeah, that was crazy.
And Cam Akers came back for 1 game.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. I do think he's trying to get pumped up. I mean, I think the goal should be next year. Right, like that's a fine goal for an Achilles tear for an older athlete.
Feels
I don't know why he had to bring. But the other thing too, he didn't necessarily say I plan to be back. He said I don't want to set any timetable.
Right.
Which is, I think if we're going to hold his Achilles to the fire, as it were, I don't think he ever said I'm going to be back. I think he just said I don't want to put any kind of time frame on myself right now. I want to see where I am, and he's saying most of the right things, and then a little bit too much optimism.
Well, let's hear it. This is Rodgers talking about whether he can come back this year.
There's been some guys with some interesting timetables on Achilles returns, but it's just there's a process. There's certain markers we got to hit.
You trying to say you're coming back this season?
I'm not gonna make any of those statements.
Is it a possibility?
I think, as Kevin Garnett said, anything's possible.
Wow. Big ups, by the way, to A.J. Hawk for doing the real journalism there with the follow-ups. I appreciated that and tried to pin him to it. And, he wouldn't say, but he also did go on to say just because someone hasn't done something doesn't mean it can't be done. I mean, he's talking a big game here that I doubt he's going to be able to really cash these checks.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing, too, is maybe this is what he wanted. He wanted to put the Jets on alert. I'm going to be back next year, so don't make any other plans. Don't trade for a quarterback who's too good. Don't draft a quarterback.
Right. Just stay in limbo and purgatory and wait for me to come back.
Yeah, I mean, secretly, if you're Aaron Rodgers, do you really want, say, Kirk Cousins to come in and be better?
Or Jameis Winston or someone like that.
What if Kirk Cousins came to New York, which I don't think is going to happen for a bunch of reasons, and just totally tore it up, and the Jets would be like, well, let's re-sign this guy. You never know. I mean, Rodgers obviously got supplanted by Jordan Love in Green Bay. He probably doesn't want that to happen here.
Well, what if Zach Wilson is good? I mean, he didn't look great against the Bills, but I don't know. What if he ends up going on a run? You're looking at me crazy.
I'm just like it's more realistic. Aaron Rodgers comes back by week 11 than Zach Wilson.
Wait, Samter, why don't we do a poll question here? What's more likely? Rodgers has a miracle recovery, and we see him again this year, or
just say Zach Wilson is really good,
or Zach Wilson is awesome. I don't know; it doesn't feel like apples to apples, but we never see Rodgers again. Or he never something like that. We'll workshop the poll.
I think we have not talked enough about the fact that the Jets are going into battle against the Dallas Cowboys pass rush with Zach Wilson and Tim Boyle on the roster. They didn't sign anybody.
Nope. Nothing happened this week. We'll get to Deion Sanders in just a moment, but Jay in Alabama's on the line. Hello, Jay.
I can see it right now, and that's my first time hearing that clip of Aaron Rodgers. I can hear it right now. We're going to have a full year of Aaron Rodgers and Pat McAfee just talking about some weird stuff like the dark retreat, like how he's going to get his foot or his Achilles to heal faster. Like I'm gonna every night I'm gonna soak my Achilles in hot dog water for 3 hours before I go to bed, or
Wait, Jay, hold on. I'm going to stop you because Rodgers actually said this, and obviously he was being tongue-in-cheek, but he lives in Malibu, right on the water, and he said when it's dolphin mating season that the sound of the dolphins mating has actually been, helps cure your injuries more.
You're making that up. That can't be a real thing.
He definitely, Samter, you can find it. He said
I like the hot dog water, Jay. I think that's a great idea.
The shaman brings the hot dog water, sure.
No, what he's basically telling you without getting X-rated, he's going to soak his foot in dolphin you-know-what.
No.
And then rub it in like his protein shake. And come on, man. We're going to have to put up with this for an entire year. You know what I tried to tell you earlier in the week? He's right there in New York. What about Tyrod Taylor? He's already playing backup for the Giants.
Yep.
I would trade for him. He's right there. You just got to go across town. Be like, hey, Tyrod, we're going to trade like a third-round pick for you. Come on. Please help us out here.
I think Tyrod Taylor would be a good option. Well, I mean, he's a little older at this point, but so are most of the options you're talking about.
Well, like many of the options, though, like the Giants kind of need him, though. So they're not going to get rid of him, are they?
Jay, thank you so much.
If Daniel Jones keeps playing if he keeps laying goose eggs and onions, they might need him. They might not want to let him go. But did somebody mention Fitzmagic?
Well, we just had Ryan Fitzpatrick on the show. Jay, thank you so much. Good to hear from you. Have a great weekend. Big news out of Alabama. We'll get to that in a little bit with the Tide making a change at quarterback. But we just had Ryan Fitzpatrick on the show. He played 2 seasons with the Jets. Went 10-6 one of those years. They did not call. He said they did not call him, but he put his hat in the ring for Jameis Winston, who he played with in Tampa. He said, I know this is not an opinion shared by many people, but I think he's still a top 15 quarterback.
Yeah, it's a weird fit, though, because you want a conservative guy who doesn't throw interceptions because you have such a great defense and a good running game, and Jameis is the exact opposite of that.
Yes.
So, also, I assume he doesn't know the system or the receivers. So, the other thing is that the Saints have a great chance of being a playoff team. Again, all these quarterbacks who are on rosters, I don't know the Saints are eager to give him away. He seems pretty valuable.
Listen, if there was an easy fit out there, I think the Jets would have done it. If there was a no-brainer slam dunk guy out there, I don't think they're that worried about Zach Wilson's feelings that they wouldn't have brought him in.
The interesting thing, Jay in Alabama mentioned the darkness retreat. You can't do a darkness retreat when you have a gimpy Achilles. You could murder yourself in that thing.
Oh, that'd be awful. A darkness retreat on crutches? I mean,
I think he's going to have to take a year off from the darkness retreat. I don't know if he ever gets in a darkness retreat again.
I'll tell you what would be even worse with an Achilles. You can't do ayahuasca. You can't be on psychedelic drugs on one foot.
No, that sounds like a very dangerous situation.
That doesn't sound right at all.
Because you're going to think that your foot's fine and you're going to be flying across the highway. I don't even know what you're going to do.
I don't even know what really happens with ayahuasca.
All right, come on, be straight with me. You made up that thing about dolphin mating. That can't be a real thing that was said by Aaron Rodgers.
Does that sound like something that I make up?
It's so incredible.
You and I share an office. Do I normally talk about that kind of thing? We're together a lot of hours the week.
Why do we take Aaron Rodgers seriously when he says things like that?
He was joking.
Oh,
he
okay,
was
okay.
joking. But he definitely said it. He definitely said it. Stu, let's get to the Daily Deion.
Daily.
Do you believe that?
Deion.
You believe that?
Deion Sanders giving away sunglasses to the entire team today, Perloff. The ones he wears, we call those the hater blockers, you know, because they're totally reflective. He gave away sunglasses after Jay Norvell, the Colorado State coach, said his mom raised him right, which is to not wear sunglasses and a hat inside like Deion does. These coaches just giving Deion the bulletin board material and the ammo that he's so desperately needing. He just turns this into rallying cries, and he does it at a PhD level. The dude is God level of finding inspiration for his team.
I was wondering, though, is he wasting some bullets here on Colorado State when he's a 3-touchdown favorite? But I think it's actually really, really smart by Deion because everybody in the world is looking forward to Oregon and USC.
Yeah.
Like, I can imagine the players would be really vulnerable to a look ahead. So, because I'm like, Deion, why are you wasting your time? It's Colorado State. I think he is doing this because he's worried about a letdown.
A trap game, sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's because you have really, it's going to be the 2 highest rated football games of the entire college football season coming up. Everyone is so excited. I'm sure the players are caught into that.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned Oregon.
Yeah.
Because Dan Lanning, my guy, Duck fan over here. You guys know I'm rooting for the
Dan Lanning
Ducks
could walk in right now and give you a high five, and you would not know who that
I know
was.
who Dan Lanning is.
Dan Lanning is the most.
He's my guy. He's my coach.
Yeah, but he's okay.
He's got brown hair.
Tell this story.
He wears a visor.
Tell this story, and he's not a hat.
He's a visor guy, which is not a hat. Dan Lanning. This is what he said in August. So this is not new, but it's relevant. Believe us. This was his reaction during all the Pac-12 realignment stuff of Colorado leaving the conference next year to go to the Big 12.
Not a big reaction. I mean, I'm trying to remember what they won to affect this conference. I don't remember. Do you remember them winning anything? I don't remember them winning anything.
Well, that went under the radar at the time because no one expected Colorado to be the biggest story in college football. So here was Deion Sanders again, Pat McAfee show, getting a lot of play on our show today. Here is Deion Sanders with Pat McAfee on Dan Lanning's comments.
Is there like a limit to when the trash talk starts? Because there's this old clip of Oregon's head coach saying, "Hey, Colorado's never won a damn thing."
Yeah. We can't get to that right now. We got to get to
okay.
Yes.
Okay.
You're on to something though.
Okay.
You're on to something.
Yeah. Deion could find a clip from 1992 and he'll use it.
So there is no time. Yeah, it's a funny thing too. That is really like. Deion, what does Deion have to do with whatever Colorado's done in the last 20 years in the Pac?
Yeah, nothing.
Nothing at all. If Deion can turn that into bulletin board material, then, as you said, the man's a magician.
He's really good at this, and coaches keep feeding into it. Dan Lanning, I don't think, had an idea he was feeding into it, but now he has.
But
and
Dan Lanning
now he made
said
it personal.
that. Was Oregon leaving the Pac-12 when he said that? That's curious. Like,
I don't know if Oregon was leaving, but Colorado had just been announced they were leaving.
So he's like defending the Pac-12, and then
Oregon's gone.
Like 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
So,
hello, Big Ten.
Yeah, that whole thing is so bad. It's such a bummer too because the Pac-12 is so awesome this year with Deion in it, and then it's just all going to go away.
The irony. 855-212-4CBS. Now, last week, you guys remember, we started our celebrity pickers right here on the Maggie and Perloff show. Celebrities coming on the show to pick 5 NFL games against the spread. Last week, Jerry Ferrara of Entourage and Power fame was on the show. He went 2-3. This week, we bring you a brand new celebrity. So who will it be? We'll get to that right after this. Don't move. It's Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. Minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You can stream the NFL on Westwood One for free, sponsored by AutoZone. All season long, you can listen to every Westwood One broadcast of the NFL live on the NFL app by asking Alexa to open Westwood One Sports or on the Odyssey app. Get in the zone, AutoZone. AutoZone's free battery testing and charging is available for free at your local AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply. Maggie, I've grinded the numbers for my picks later in the show this week.
Oh, yeah.
I have
grinding film.
I have a handle on week 2.
What are you, like an offensive line coach?
It's basically a supercomputer up here. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, nice one, Watson. Okay, we started something last week, and we're so thrilled now that we get to continue. That is celebrities picking NFL games for us against the spread. Week 1, Jerry Ferrara of Entourage and Power fame went 2-3. This week, brand new celebrity, someone now maybe becoming a bit of a friend of the show. I don't know if that's too bold to put that out there. It's the Emmy Award-winning actor and comedian Rob Corddry is back with us. Rob, you're the best.
Oh, man. This is all I want is friend of the show status everywhere. On shows that don't even exist anymore.
Congratulations, you're a friend of Different Strokes. They actually love you on Different Strokes.
That's where it started. That's where the dream started.
Well, all you have to do, we'll pick games in a minute. 5 games will give you against the spread. All you got to do is have a winning record, and you beat Jerry Ferrara. So take that.
All right. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah, I did want to rub it in a little bit. Did you see my Eagles beat your Patriots in Week 1? That was pretty decisive.
Yeah, I did see it, and I also heard your AutoZone read.
Yeah,
let's like a little bit more life in the commercial reads. Get in the zone, AutoZone
read.
Get in the zone, AutoZone. Come on.
How would you do it, Rob?
Can I coach you?
Please,
Get in the zone. AutoZone.
Get in the zone. AutoZone.
AutoZone.
Yeah. Zone.
Well, I was so focused on you coming on, I was nervous. I couldn't focus on AutoZone.
But yes, the Patriots lost Week 1 once again.
That doesn't mean you have
once again.
Mean
like
you
it
have to go
happens
after,
all the time.
So you have to go after my read because the Patriots lost?
Yeah.
Brady,
That's right. I went low.
He's lashing out. I would too. You came on, you insulted his team. So Rob Corddry is joining us, Emmy Award-winning actor and comedian. I know what's wrong in New England. I know what's wrong. It's not the offense. It wasn't the fact that you were facing the Patriots. It's a massive, massive story happening. It's going totally under the radar. Belichick is breaking up with his girlfriend, Linda. They've been in this prolonged, messy breakup. Rob, it's throwing off everything in Patriots Nation.
I was going to say, what's possibly wrong with the Patriots? They looked great Week 1. They really did. They played, I'm going to call it a competitive loss. But yes, I could have done without all the cutting to Belichick, melting in the rain like the Wicked Witch of the East. Somebody give him a slicker, for God's sake. That nothing
That's
worse than looking at that sour puss than covered in rain.
Rob, I don't understand. I have a lot of friends from Boston. They were happy with the Patriots' loss in Week 1. This used to be Titletown like 5 years ago. Now they're happy with a competitive loss. What is happening?
But you do understand. This is what happens. I mean, we're the bad guys. It's so weird. We've been the bad guys for so long, and I love rooting for the bad guys. I've never had that before in my life. I was a Red Sox fan, and this felt like really neat. And now we're the bad guys who lose. So that's not as fun.
Congrats.
Yeah, I know, right? So I'm bullish on these Pats.
Well, I mean, how far do you think they're going to go this year? How bullish?
Oh, how far do you want them to go?
I want them to lose all the time. I'm a Bills fan, but how far do you think? Are they a playoff team?
Are they going to go to this? Are they a Super Bowl team? Not yet.
Okay.
No. They'll be in the playoffs.
All right. I like that. Mark it down.
By the way,
they'll be in the playoffs.
Before we get to the picks, real quick Boston story. Did you guys see the headline that Shohei Ohtani likes the Red Sox because he's friends with the head of Reebok, and they're worried that they already have a DH? But can you imagine Shohei in Fenway? That would be something.
Yes. The answer to your question is yes.
You take him?
I take him. Sure. Whoever wants to be on, especially a DH.
Not just the DH. Rob Corddry is the Emmy Award-winning actor and comedian. He joins the show. We're doing Celebrity NFL Game Pickers. Celebrity Pickers sounds weird, but Game Pickers. We're going to do that in just a moment. We didn't get into this last time you were on, Rob, but you were an 80 for Brady. Like, how jealous does that make other Boston other actors who are from Boston, who I presume also worship Brady?
Yeah, I don't know. I hope that it doesn't make them jealous, or part of me hopes it makes them really jealous. I don't know. It was, by the way, a thrill because I've never in my 20 plus something year career been asked to do a Boston accent. And so I was just chomping at the bit, and I got to play and like basically an alcoholic townie who somebody threw a mic and a camera at. And that was super fun. Super, super fun.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you'd like to do this. We don't want to bring you on and have you, perform for us like you're some, like dancing monkey or something. But if you wanted to do your picks in a Boston accent.
Okay, yeah, sure. Why not?
Okay. Well,
why not?
Okay. Well, I guess.
Do whatever you want. I'm a friend of the show.
You're a friend of the show.
That's what friends do.
Exactly.
That's what friends do.
I love it if all my friends did exactly what I asked them to do at all times on live radio. All right, well, hit the music, Stu.
Time for Celebrity Picks.
It's our little Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous music, if you remember that TV show. Which you were also a friend of. Yeah, yes. Right, exactly. Same book, same page. All right, so this is Emmy Award-winning actor and comedian Rob Corddry doing his 5 NFL picks for week 2, and he's going to do them in a Boston accent. Rob, it's really up to you. However much you want to talk about these games or as little is up to you.
All right. I have a lot to say about everything.
All right, well, let's waste no time. How about Dolphins at Patriots? Let's get right in there with your Pats. Patriots are getting 3 points, 3-point underdog.
Dolphins, Pats. All right, let's get something. Let's get in something straight at the outset. I'm not using my brain on this pick. All right, I'm using a different part of my body, a different organ, one that fills itself with blood and gets bigger, right? And I'm of course talking about what?
It's a family show, Rob. I don't know if we could say.
I'm talking about my heart. Now, I'm not saying that the Pats are going to demolish the spread, but they're going to win. So I will happily take the Pats at plus 3 points. Thank you.
Love it. Let's move on. Jets at Cowboys. The Cowboys are a 9.5-point favorite.
Yeah. Jets and Cowboys. I'll answer your question with a question. What was the spread of this game before Aaron Rodgers got hurt?
3 points.
Doesn't matter. It was wildly different. It was wildly different. So let's think of this in terms of a simple equation, right? Shall we? The Jets' offensive line plus the Cowboys' defense times Zach Wilson equals Cowboys, parentheses, at minus 9.5 points.
We love it. Taking the Cowboys and doing a little math on the side. Maybe if Good Will Hunting 2 comes out, Rob, maybe.
Yeah, I was going to say, is this getting old?
No.
Yeah, well.
We love it. Raiders.
Get in his own auto zone.
Raiders at the Bills. Bills are 8.5-point favorites.
All right, I'm going to drop it just for sake of just that. I know I can tell when things get old. So the Raiders and the Bills. The Raiders and the Bills. Well, the Bills are having a really hard week of practice this week. It's a really tough week. There's a lot of meetings. A lot of tears, a lot of scoldings. So they are going to be playing with something to prove, sort of like a child coming off of a punishment, wanting to be the best kid. So I'm going to take the Bills at minus 8.5.
Okay. Chiefs at the Jags. Jags are a 3.5-point underdog.
Oh, Chiefs at the Jags. All right. Well, the Chiefs are going to win if Kelsey and Jones play, right?
Yes, they're both questionable now.
We can all agree. They're questionable. Big Q. So we're really betting on them coming back. And I spent $44 to keep Kelsey in my auction draft league. So I'm going to make that bet and take the Chiefs at minus 3 3.5 points.
Okay, last one for you. The Ravens at the Bengals. Bengals 3.5-point favorites.
Oh, this is good. This is good. This one's easy, right? This is the easiest one out of all of them. You should have started with this one. This is such a good matchup. I'm really looking forward to this. It's probably the game of the week. It's going to be a close game. So 3.5 points is, I think, too much to give to the Bengals. I'm going to take the Ravens at plus 3.5.
Ooh. Rob,
yeah, that's right. You heard it here first. Get in the zone, auto zone.
Rob, how's the fantasy start for you? I lost Eckler. I think I lost Eckler. He was my big pick this year. You getting off to a good start with all your teams?
I don't know. I started sort of with a whimper. I think I won 2 out of my 3 leagues, but they weren't great win. I won by like change, you know. It was
stressful.
It's like 76 and a quarter. You know, it was those decimal points, man, stressed me out.
Just when you start praying for your kicker.
Yeah.
Just like, please, please.
Yes.
Rob, do you do what I do? Like, a guy has a decent week 1 and you spend your entire free agent budget on them. Like, I went all in on Puka Nacua this week.
Oh, no, that's a good move, man.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't think you did a terrible thing there. I love that. I drafted him.
Oh, really?
In my main league. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you got to be so happy with that.
Drafted him, and I drafted Zay Flowers. Like, I'm very excited about both those picks.
Ooh. I hate to be the person to say this, but Puka Nacua mispracticed today with an oblique injury. We will keep you updated on the latest there. Rob Corddry is the Emmy award-winning actor and comedian. Last one for you from me, Rob, and thanks so much for doing this. It's awesome. Because you are on Ballers, you probably get asked about The Rock in every single interview you do, and it will happen from now to the end of time. So here's another one for you. He was on the Pat McAfee show. He's going to be on ESPN Game Day tomorrow from Boulder, Colorado. The Rock is in Boulder to just add to the Deion Sanders hype and everything that's going on. He said he doesn't have a chauffeur. This is like what keeps him grounded, that he drives himself everywhere. Is that actually true, or is that BS?
Let's get something straight. And I'm, again, talking to you from my heart. The Rock doesn't get driven. He drives. And he drives this badass Ford pickup truck. And I'm not kidding. I'm not going to say that. I was going to say if he had a chauffeur, perhaps he'd show up on time. But I was just kidding about that.
Just jokes.
We're friends.
Yeah.
We're friends. I wish him the best.
By the way, if you needed parts for that Ford, if you needed parts for that Ford pickup, I'll tell you where you could go there, Rob.
Oh, it's massive, by the way. Yeah. Like, it's all lifted up, and the tire. Okay. You've never seen tires this big. It's awesome.
Well, I mean, this guy can't really drive like a Mini Cooper. Are you the same way? No chauffeurs for you, or same down to earth? That's what keeps you grounded.
No. I just don't like to be driven. I'm not a good passenger. You know, I like driving. I was on Top Gear for 2 years. Like I like to drive, man. You know?
Look out, though. Do you drive like, people from Massachusetts have a reputation?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm glad you said that. Yeah, we drive offensively. And, so that was where my formative years, it makes a difference. Trying to teach my kids how to drive now, and it's like I'm going against my every instinct. Floor it, dude. Floor it. It's yellow.
It's like, no, just cut that jerk off. He totally deserves it. It's like the scene from Naked Gun where they're like, extend your arm, extend your middle finger. Okay, Rob Corddry, you're the best for doing this. Thank you so much. Good luck in hopefully beating Jerry Ferrara as part of our celebrity.
I think I'm going to get all. I mean, I think you guys will agree. I'm going to get all those picks right.
Yeah, 5-0.
We feel very confident for you. Rob Corddry, Emmy Award-winning actor, comedian, the best, friend of the show, and friend of AutoZone.
Friend of the show.
Thank you, Rob.
Friend of the zone. When you want something done, check into the zone. AutoZone.
And I hope that's fruitful for you. You just gave them
your next read. Do you have to do another AutoZone read?
No, we're just gonna cut you saying it.
Yeah.
We have a celebrity reader.
AutoZone. I'm going to get a call from AutoZone
Yeah.
today. Are you kidding me?
Checks in the mail,
All right.
Rob. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Good luck this weekend. Appreciate that. Rob's awesome. Friend of the show. How cool is that?
Very cool. That, of course, he had a great Boston accent there.
Oh, so good.
Because the organ that pumps blood. And, of course, I'm talking about the heart.
Yeah, right. Well, we were all thinking. Okay, coming up next, major change with Alabama. Nick Saban going to the bench for a new quarterback. We'll get to all of that after this CBS Sports Update. Here's Marco Belletti.
CBS Sports Radio. Sports Flash.
Well, guys, Aaron Rodgers broke his silence after tearing his Achilles. Seemed to make it clear he's not only coming back, he'll be back with a chip on his shoulder. This is courtesy of the Pat McAfee Show.
All I need is that one little extra % of inspiration. That's all I need. So give me your give me your doubts, give me your prognostications, and then watch what I do.
Meanwhile, losing at Alabama isn't taken lightly, and the Crimson Tide falling to Texas last week, and now it seems Nick Saban is ready to make a change. Quarterback Jalen Milroe is reportedly on his way to the bench. Tyler Buckner expected to get the call against South Florida Saturday. Now, Buckner was the Irish starter to begin last year before he got hurt in Week 2. Did come back to throw 5 touchdowns, along with 3 picks, in Notre Dame's win over South Carolina in the Gator Bowl. Ole Miss defensive tackle DeSanto Rollins, who was recently kicked off the team for missing practices during what he termed a mental crisis, is now suing the university and head coach Lane Kiffin for failure to provide equal protection, racial and sexual discrimination, along with multiple other allegations. And the Lakers reportedly agreed to terms with Jared Vanderbilt that in a 4-year extension at $48 million. I'm Marco Belletti.
Looking for CBS Sports Radio online? Your favorite hosts and the best sports content and entertainment are available 24/7 on social media and YouTube, and in the palm of your hand with the free Odyssey app.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
With eBay Guaranteed Fit, you're the MVP because when you see that green check, you'll know that part fits your vehicle. ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. All right. It's from Stu. The drive of the week came in Sunday's matchup between the Dolphins and the Chargers. Trailing 34-30 with just under 4 minutes left, Miami won an 8-play, 75-yard drive that ended in a 4-yard TD pass from Tua Tagovailoa to Tyreek Hill. The Dolphins won 36-34. That was such a sweet pass, too. When he throws that little lefty thing into the corner of the end zone, beautiful. Although I have to tell you,
yes,
all the Tua hype, I'm a little nervous for Tua because of Belichick.
Patriots defense, I think, is legit.
Yeah, totally.
Not I think. We all think it's
also
legit.
The Dolphins don't have to throw the ball 45 times to beat the Patriots either, because I don't think the Patriots offense is going to do much. I think it's going to be a much different game than the Chargers game.
I do as well. We'll get to our picks later on in the show. 855-212-4CBS if you want to weigh in. We've got Aaron Rodgers sound, of course. We've got Deion Sanders sound. But a change coming at Alabama. Reportedly, Tyler Buchner is going to take over and start this week with Jalen Milroe now being benched. That's reports because Buchner took all of the first team, or the majority, of the first team reps in practice this week, according to sources. Mm-hmm. So obviously, the loss to Texas did not sit well. I didn't think that Milroe was terrible, but obviously he did throw, 2 picks in that game. And while they're playing South Florida this weekend, while this has implications for Alabama, of course, this also has implications for this very radio show. Because we did an SEC quarterback draft before the season started. And all of us, 3 of us, Samter, me, and Perloff, all took Alabama quarterbacks because the race was so wide open. We all thought we could hit pay dirt. Samter had Milroe, so that paid off for him. Perloff now has Buchner.
Yeah.
So how excited are you now?
Well, I think Ty Simpson could get a chance, too, at some point.
It's for me.
Now, you guys watched the Texas-Alabama game. Obviously, it wasn't all on Milroe, but the weird thing was they're going against Texas, a Big 12 school, and every time they would run right in the line of scrimmage for 1 yard. How can Alabama average about 1.5 yards per carry? I think that Saban's looking at this and saying, you know what? They know Milroe's not going to throw downfield, so they're stacking the box, and our run game isn't doing anything. So we need a guy who at least is a threat to get this run game going because our line's not that great. So I totally agree with you. Milroe didn't look bad at all, but something was way off with Alabama's offense. I think it's because Milroe's not a threat to go downfield.
Yeah,
so they got to give
throw with his legs though, but obviously that is different. I think it's like Texas. That was probably the biggest change, right, between Texas teams of recent history and this Texas team is actually maybe it's Quinn Ewers has something to do with it, of course, but they're just so much bigger.
Well, yeah. I mean, they have not been fully tested yet because Alabama might not be great. Who knows?
That was a big test. You go to Tuscaloosa. I mean, it's an amazing consider win. That a big test. It's
an amazing win, but I don't think that they're going to shut down everybody like they kind of shut down Alabama. And they did let up a couple big plays to Milroe. I mean, to me, the Quinn Ewers was the bigger story. You know, he hadn't had like a long pass before that game and just 2 amazing bombs. I'm totally into Texas, but Tyler Buchner, I'm nervous though. I like that I got the guy, but I'm worried that they're gonna pull him and give your guy a chance and Ty Simpson.
Well, if you want the standings here, right now behind a very solid Week 2 performance, I am currently in the lead in our SEC quarterback draft, but it's very close. Perloff and I are separated by like less than 4 points. Samter and I are separated by less than 4 points. Perloff were within 10 points. And Stu, who drafted 4 quarterbacks that actually do start, where the rest of us drafted 3 quarterbacks and an Alabama quarterback, sort of hoping and praying. Stu, bring it up the rear. You okay?
It's been a slow start. I've been a little disappointed in Carson Beck. I thought I'd get some more touchdown passes from him early on, but they've been handing the ball off a lot.
Yeah.
Well, that's because none of this matters because the SEC schedule hasn't started yet, so everybody's playing like Austin P or whatever.
Yeah, but that's like when you're supposed to get the fantasy points.
Right, but now now that you're into the SEC, all the other guys will come down and Carson Beck will rise to the top because I have a Heisman bet on Carson Beck and it's not looking good.
Yeah, so there you go. So Alabama makes a change. They play South Florida this weekend, and obviously for the Maggie and Perloff SEC Quarterback Fantasy League, this has major implications.
It's one of those ones I'm looking at. I'm like, South Florida, haven't they been good within the last 20 years? Maybe they'll be a challenge. So they lost to Western Kentucky, and they beat Florida A&M last week. So it's one of the many games this week where I have no idea who the team playing the good team is. Right? I mean, this week is not ideal.
No, I think that's a nice landing spot there for Tyler Buchner. This could be a good,
Yeah. Oh, I mean, the whole slate. I'm saying it's just like, this is just like, Alabama better. If they don't blow them out, people are going to, Alabama fell to 10. If they don't blow out South Florida, I think they're going to fall even more. I think people are going to lose total faith.
Well, while that is one storyline we're watching in college football, the other is in Colorado, where the Colorado State matchup is as big as it can possibly get. Let's hear from Shedeur Sanders. This was Deion's son, of course, on how the Colorado State coach, Jay Norvell, commenting about how Deion wears sunglasses and a hat inside, and that's disrespectful. Here's what Shedeur had to say about it.
I was like, what did he say? And they told me. I was like, bro, why do they do this to themselves every week? Coach Brown's a cool guy. Like, you don't have to be like that.
You don't have to just hand them just every bulletin board material. And Perloff, I think that your theory that bulletin board material is BS or bull dookie, as Coach Prime would call it, I think that's been debunked, not just by this Colorado everything with Deion Sanders, but even Aaron Rodgers saying that he's now taking motivation from the haters.
Right. And that's going to amount to absolutely nothing, just like the entire Jets season has. Oh. But here's one thing about this.
And they won.
What coach has said a single thing about Deion? Sorry. Saban
Jay
said
Norvell.
Right. Before Jay Norvell, he said, Shedeur said every coach has said something. Sonny Dykes was basically a Deion cheerleader in Week 1. Matt Rule said nothing. Matt Rule, I don't even know if he came to the game. They made up something.
Was that headset even plugged in?
What coach is saying anything about it? It does seem like, the facts of some of these cases are a bit loose.
Lee Corso was on game day, former coach Lee Corso, and he was a little critical of...
Lee Corso is what you're bringing me?
I'm just telling you.
Sanders just said all these coaches are stoking up my father, name one Lee Corso. Come on.
He hasn't coached a game
Sonny
since
Dykes
the
hugged
90s.
Deion Sanders mid-game. Mid-game. Have you ever seen coaches hug? This is a love fest. Every coach is afraid to say anything mean about Deion, but they're going to find it, except Jay Norvell.
Except for Jay Norvell.
Which, by the way, was brilliant by Jay Norvell.
He's getting a lot of airtime.
It's the first time anyone's ever heard of this man.
I read a story about Colorado State just because I wanted to get a little more informed on what they're all about. Fascinating team. They've got a former sumo wrestler on their team, a dude from Japan who just got to the States like a couple months ago. Barely speaks English. Just found 5 guys hamburgers and this is what he's existing off of now.
Does he play?
Yeah.
Wow.
And they also have 2 players from the same tribe from South Sudan. That's amazing, right? You've got a guy who won an amateur weightlifting competition. You've got an openly gay defensive end. I mean, this is you have a kicker who's 30 with 3 kids and a wife who lives in the suburbs, from England. This is a unique team.
You guys going to watch this game, by the way? 10 o'clock on Saturdays is rich.
It sucks. There's no good games on, and the only game I have any interest in watching is at 10 o'clock at night. The entire day, I'm not going to watch college football.
Penn State, Illinois, after what happened last time, remember they had that 9 overtime game? That's a banana peel waiting. No, the big Fox game, nothing?
Nothing.
No. By the way, we sound very old. You can't stay up until 10 o'clock on a Saturday night.
No, I can't watch the game. It's just the entire day. Usually I sit in front of a TV and I watch college football all day. I'm not going to do that this week. The only game I'm going to watch is going to start at 10. The whole day I'm doing nothing else.
But
I got to hang out with my wife and my kid. What's going on?
I know, the horror. Ugh.
It's a 25-point spread. I mean, is this going to be entertaining in any way?
They're going to win by 70.
The first half, you got to tune in. They're asking all the fans, by the way, in Colorado to show up wearing, what else? Sunglasses and hats.
Okay, so that'd be a cute Instagram post for 15 minutes.
Will anybody show up with a visor? That's the question.
Can we just fast forward?
Jay Norvell.
Can we fast forward to Oregon? I mean, we all want to see it. Just play it this week.
Coming up, we've got Aaron Rodgers speaks for the first time since his Achilles surgery, plus Perloff and I make our NFL picks. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
I think the whole industry and everybody who says that they're good at tasting wine is lying. I think it's the biggest mass lie.
It's all perpetrated by big wine.
In the history of mankind, there's no bigger lie than people can tell which wine is good.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And I love people who are like, I'm just tasting and spitting out. I'm like, I'm not here to get loaded. Get out of here.
Wineries are the scenes of so many crimes. People get sloppy at wineries, like dress over your head type stuff. Once my husband and I, we were still dating, went to wine country, but took bikes.
I just had this image of you following your husband on a bike, just veering off slowly into the right, tipping over, and just like, Maggie's asleep on the sidewalk.
They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Aaron Rodgers speaks for the first time since tearing his Achilles. Hey, welcome to Maggie and Perloff. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. We're across the country on CBS Sports Radio. And Rodgers admitting, Perloff, that he basically was weeping after this injury happened. Yeah. He said he was on the trainer's table at the stadium, knew his Achilles was torn even before the MRI. Randall Cobb walks in the room, and all of a sudden he said he lost it. He said he was blubbering, bawling. This has really impacted him since it happened.
Yeah, I mean, I think any player who tears their Achilles will probably cry. I mean, that kind of injury is so serious. But I did notice, so he spoke to Pat McAfee, and once again, he's going back to the sort of positive vibes. Just reminds me, it doesn't matter how positive your vibes are, that Jets helmet is so powerful.
Oh, no.
It can suck the quality out of any quarterback's head.
It's just the storm cloud over all the positive vibes, just raining all over it.
I just feel like Rodgers came out with a real positive note, said all the right things, but this year's a reminder, like, just because you say all the right things does not mean a darn thing. NFL is a brutal business, and just because Rodgers has a right attitude right now, to me, doesn't guarantee anything.
He's vowing to come back, and he's doing it in a major way. This was Aaron Rodgers on the Pat McAfee show saying not is he only going to come back, He could come back this year.
There's been some guys with some interesting timetables on Achilles returns, but it's just there's a process. There's certain markers we got to hit.
You trying to say you're coming back this season?
I'm not gonna make any of those statements.
Is it a possibility?
I think, as Kevin Garnett said, anything's possible.
Wow.
Yeah, Garnett was not talking about a 40-year-old coming off an Achilles, but he was talking about the Celtics winning the title. But, I get where he's coming from. He said he's going to have an aggressive rehab. And he said just because someone hasn't done it before doesn't mean it can't be done.
Can I make a sports ignorance confession right now?
Go ahead.
Was that such a famous Kevin Garnett quote?
Oh, yeah. Anything is possible. When he's like, when the confetti's coming down.
Anything's possible!
So it's
Bravo.
It's the way he said it, because it's not really that profound of a line.
Well, neither is Cleveland. This is for you, but we all know what they're talking about.
Anything is possible. I mean, that doesn't mean anything.
Well, neither is just do it, but it's been like the $1 billion ad campaign.
I don't know.
Simple is best.
I don't know. So Kevin Garnett said that in 2000. I was in a big NBA valley then. I was super into the NFL then. I didn't follow that whole Celtics-Lakers thing. So I didn't even know that quote. It's like, as Kevin Garnett once said, I'm like, what?
Clearly, yes. It's like super duper famous.
Well, it is cool that we learned from Jerry Ferrara last week, who was our celebrity picker, that Aaron Rodgers is a gigantic NBA head.
Yes, he is. I forgot. Jerry was sitting next to him for a Knicks playoff game, and he did say that. Our celebrity picker from this week, if you missed it last hour, was the fabulous and so funny Rob Corddry, who joined us, who was amazing and did his picks in a Boston accent that was just chef's kiss.
Yeah. You know what, though? He picked the Patriots, right?
Yeah, of course.
So I don't know if he had the cold, hard analysis we need from our celebrity guest pickers.
Well, if that's what you're looking for in the celebrity pickers, cold, hard analysis.
Well, I didn't pick the Eagles last night. I picked the Vikings to cover. And it was a push.
Although we were good with the over. Okay, so we've got Aaron Rodgers. One more for you. Here was Rodgers talking about his future plans.
I think what I'd like to say is give me the doubts. Give me the timetables. Give me all the things that you think can, should, or will happen. Because all I need is that one little extra % of inspiration. That's all I need. So give me your doubts, give me your prognostications, and then watch what I do.
Hell yeah. Let's go.
Who was that for? Was that for him? Was that for the Jets team to try to make sure they don't fold like a tent?
I mean, I'm old school, but I'd rather hear that after you recover from the Achilles and have a triumphant return to the field. Don't say that now, like, oh, I'm inspired by the haters, and no one's even said anything yet.
Perloff, this is like a thing that I think young people do today, maybe older people too, but manifesting. It's like, I never do this, but some people do it. You manifest something, so you say it, and then you feel like that by saying it out loud, it holds you accountable.
Right, but he didn't say, I'm going to do something. He said, I need people to hate on me so I can be inspired.
And you took the bait. You're like, because there's no way he's coming back.
Well, the traditional thing is the haters inspire me, not, hey, can I have some haters to inspire me? I feel like if you put it out there in advance, you're sort of softening the effect of the hate. Because you're saying, I need some hate. Give me some hate.
Yeah, right. Someone, give me some bulletin board material to get me out of bed.
That's what Deion's doing, manufacturing bulletin board material, which, by the way, I don't think they need against Colorado State.
Well, he didn't, but the Colorado State coach was more than happy to serve it up with this hat and sunglasses remark.
Which I like. I think the Colorado State coach is going against the grain by providing bulletin board material instead of something fake. Anyway, who knows? But yeah, all this Aaron Rodgers talk, I'm not being fooled again, Maggie. I was fooled by Hard Knocks. I was fooled by all the press conferences. I was fooled by him showing up at the Knicks game, Broadway shows. I'm like, he's going to save New York, and it lasted 4 plays. You think I'm going to dive into this Aaron Rodgers pool again?
So you're protecting what your feelings?
I'm protecting optimism for the Jets because there is a reality. He's going to be a 40-year-old quarterback coming off an Achilles tear. He did not sound like that. He sounded like, I can do this and faster than anyone. But the reality of the
probably
age,
the Demerol. I'm just kidding. I don't know.
Well, or whatever chemical ayahuasca-like mushroom he just took.
I don't know. I don't know if that's part of the rehab. But no, I believe that he is going to try to come back as good as he was. I don't know if he'll be better.
Yeah.
But he's definitely back. But to come back this season, I think is totally and wildly unrealistic. I don't care if you cut this and send it to Rodgers. Okay, I'll be one of those people. It's just, it would seem crazy that he would get back on the field this year. But if he's good enough and cleared by the doctors, I think he would do it. I don't think the organization would stop him.
Yeah, I mean, he could join next year. It'll be the new Chad Pennington comeback player of the year, another Jets quarterback. I think it's a great goal to be back for next year. That is not a given at this age by any means. And you know what? I am actually inspired for him. I think he's going to work super hard to come back next year. But that's not the end of the story, though, because he puts the Jets in a really interesting spot. They got a team build here. They have this young, talented core. Are they really going to depend on an older quarterback coming back from an injury?
Leaves them in a tough spot, right?
Yeah, it's kind of a pickle.
Well, because you were hoping to get 2 years out of Rodgers, right? So, that number one's gone, we think. And so now are you gonna just like hold the fort? Are you not going to think about quarterback of the future? Are you not going to bring somebody in next year saying, assuming Zach Wilson doesn't play very well? And
also some injuries, you might miss a year, but your year back is not 100% either.
That's true, too.
He does sound fired up. Okay, maybe I'll buy a little bit of hype, Maggie. And as we go along the next 6 months of holistic healing techniques for the Achilles, I'll admit I'm interested, but I'm not going to say that he can do it until he's actually on the field.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. If we thought like the plant-based medicine and the ayahuasca was a little out there, just wait till we figure out what the hell Rodgers is going to do to try to get back on the field. Because he said that he's getting phone calls and has heard from everybody in like all walks of life, and especially a lot of people who have had Achilles tears and how they've come back. Like, imagine everyone's probably giving him advice on what he should do. He said no darkness retreats, though. He didn't say no darkness retreats. He said no ayahuasca right now.
Oh, is that what he said?
It's like, wow.
Right. Well, it's grown up a little bit. It's being very mature.
Probably a great idea not to do a psychedelic drug when you're recovering from a major injury. Oh, whatever. Okay, let's get to our Cowboys Quickie. All right, so Jets pick up the pieces, now have to travel to Dallas. Good luck to you. Dallas coming off a 40-point whitewashing of the New York Giants. And now we find this, that in practice, Perloff, it looks like the Cowboys are triple teaming Micah Parsons, trying to anticipate how the Jets are going to try and stop him. The Jets' offensive line is nothing to write home about. Clearly, we found that out with the Rodgers situation because Leonard Floyd came around the edge and his Achilles is no longer. Triple teaming Micah Parsons in practice, will it matter?
No, that's a waste of time for the Cowboys. Like, there's no way the Jets are going to triple team Micah Parsons because they are not going to call a single pass play the entire game. Why would you?
Really good point.
Micah Parsons weighs about 215 pounds. You just run at him all game. That's what the Eagles do. That's what the Eagles did last night against Neil Hunter. They couldn't block him once, and they just ran at him the entire game. So, I'm sorry, if the Jets are down 2 touchdowns, I still want to see them call run plays because otherwise 3 is not going to be enough to stop Micah Parsons going after Zach Wilson.
Well, the 3 they're throwing at him probably won't be enough, unfortunately, for the Jets. But you're right. Like, what if this game gets out of hand quickly? Now, the over-under on this game is very low, 38 points. It's like nothing.
Well, that's what happened.
38.5, pardon me.
I mean, the Giants fell behind 16-0 in 2 seconds, and that let the Cowboys pass rush all day long. I don't think the Jets are going to give them that chance. I think the Jets would rather lose than get Zach Wilson killed by Micah Parsons. I'm serious. I think they'll call run plays, even if they're down 3 touchdowns.
Listen, Zach Wilson hasn't been the picture of health. He's not 40 or 39 like Rodgers. He's in his early 20s, but he's also been hurt the last 2 seasons. That's your Cowboys Quickie.
He has?
Yeah.
I mean, Mac Jones won a game completing 2 out of 3 passes.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up.
Who was that against? I don't remember that game. I just remember he had 2 completions, 3 attempts, and they won a game.
Listen, we're not talking about the Bills right now.
Oh, okay.
We're talking about the Jets. I was just trying to look up really quickly on DraftKings the over-under for Zach Wilson pass attempts. They don't have that, but they do have passing yards. Zach Wilson, 181.5.
Oh, that's so
feels a little high.
Yeah, he's going 102 or like 86, something along those lines.
Well, by the way, we're doing.
I'm sorry, 179.5. It just keeps moving up and down as I'm on the app.
The only reason why the number is so high is like what you guys were saying. They're going to be down by like 30 in the fourth quarter. They're just going to have to throw the ball, and he's going to get like a bunch of like screens and under yards.
Well, he did do one
defense.
He did one thing well against the Bills. That little drop off when the pass rush over pursued the terrible. The pass rush got right past the Jets lineman, and he could just dump it off.
Yeah.
So maybe he gets screen passes, but still, that seems very rich.
It does. Although, here's the thing. Are we sure that the Cowboys are going to be up by 30 in the fourth quarter? I mean, the Jets' defense still is very good. That's the whole thing
There's
here.
going to be 4 pick sixes.
It's not. They're not going to let him throw that.
I have a question. I'm confused by this. So the over-under is down to 38 or 38.5?
38.5.
And the Cowboys are 9.5-point favorites. Like, how many points does Vegas expect the Jets to get here?
Like
how can
3.
How can there be a 10-point spread and a 38-point over/under? This is like they are not expecting much action here.
No. 855-212-4CBS. 855-212-4227. Okay, so that's what's going on. We got a lot more to preview. Games coming up this weekend. Coming up next, though, like what in the heck is going on with Stefon Diggs in Buffalo? This thing has gotten way, way out of hand. So Tim Graham is a Bills reporter for The Athletic. He's going to get to the bottom of this for us because we can't tell how upset Stefon Diggs is. And with the Bills already in his 0-1 hole and needing a bounce-back performance, this could be a major storyline. It is already a major storyline going into their game against the Raiders. Don't move. It is Maggie and Perloff. If you ever miss any part of the show, just download the Maggie and Perloff podcasts. Give us a 5-star review if you'd like. Thank you. Wherever you get your podcasts. Of course, you can listen to us across the country on CBS Sports Radio, our great affiliates. The absolutely free to download Odyssey app is crystal clear. Sirius XM channel 158 or also youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio if you'd like to watch the show. Don't move. We've got more NFL talk coming up. What is going on with Buffalo and Stefon Diggs? We'll get to the bottom of it next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. Minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. I think we've outdone ourselves this week, Maggie, with one of the dumber show bets of all time.
That's saying something.
Yeah, so you're a Bills fan.
Yep.
Stu is a Raiders fan. You have the Raiders, and Stu has the Bills this week.
Well, okay, this is where it's coming from. I said that if the Raiders cover, I will buy lunch for Stu. Stu thinks his own team's going to get blown out. But I watch every snap of this team, and you can tell when things just aren't quite right. And add on top of it is really, I think, what's turning out to be kind of a bizarre story here with Stefon Diggs. So we wanted to go straight to the source, and Tim Graham is good enough to join us. He's a Bills reporter for The Athletic. He knows everything that's going on with this team. Tim, thanks so much for the time today. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Thought I'd be writing about football all week, but it's been a strange one.
Yeah, let's pause there, because I think Stefon Diggs is a big enough star that this has gained a lot of attention nationally, which is a team reporter was caught on a hot mic in a sort of candid moment, maybe joking around, maybe not, we're not sure, sort of saying that she doesn't want to ask Stefon Diggs for an interview because he would just say, bleep you right to your face, right? And they kind of have a laugh about it. Well, Diggs got wind of this, and he responded on his social media. And he said this: the audio shared was very hurtful and was insulting to my character and to how I was raised. I've always treated people how I want to be treated. I greet everyone with smiles and respect, from the people in our cafe to the people that keep our building clean and in order. The media or fans may confuse my competitiveness that they witness on the field with as who I am as a person, but off the field, I'd never treat anyone how she described, and I've never said anything remotely close to that to her. I don't know why it was said, but this is an example of why people don't want to deal with the media. It's hard to fight the preconceived notions people have about you, regardless of ever having a personal experience with them. We all have a job, and I respect it, but please remember I'm a human just like you, and if I ever made anyone else feel like you can't approach me, I apologize. Time to lock in, forward focused. I mean, that's a long description there, and I felt like I owed it to Stefon Diggs to say it, but Tim, how did we get here where you have the star wide receiver, one of the top wide receivers in the league, responding to, a team reporter, saying something about him?
Yeah, the hot mic was unfortunate. She was joking. I know the people involved. I can tell by all the voices and the tenor of the conversation. The way it was broken down in that discussion was somebody asking the team reporter, hey, why don't you go see if you can get Stefon Diggs? And it was her way of saying, I have no additional pull than any of you guys do. He treats us all the same. She said it a little hyperbolically, and it was not meant to be taken literally, but it caught fire. Somebody posted a snippet of it online. It then became a story. It was on ESPN's ticker last night. TMZ picked it up. And so really it was a throwaway comment that if anybody else had said it that wasn't a team employee, it's probably not taken as seriously, but maybe Stephon Diggs also felt the need that he wanted to make a bigger point. And rather than talking it out through the team, decided to post what he did on Twitter, which is his right, and he's justified. And if that's the way he feels, that's fine. But it certainly did escalate the situation. And now this team reporter, people are calling for her to be fired. She was viewed in a sympathetic light when she apologized immediately after. People on Twitter I was looking were saying things like, you have nothing to apologize for. But then when Stephon Diggs 24 hours later puts out his comments, people see, oh, Steph is upset, she should be fired, and she sucks. And it's turned into this kind of this weird, again, it's bizarre, and it's not football. It's a fascinating media story to me. But I'm not reporting about this for The Athletic. This is not a football story to me. And that's why I'm amazed at how something so silly could become so sensationalized, but I shouldn't be. I've been doing this for 30 years.
Yeah.
Tim, maybe this is a silly question, but how media available is Stephon Diggs usually on the scale of the most media available guy, the least? Where does he fit?
For a superstar player, probably middle of the road. Sometimes we won't hear from him for a few weeks. A lot of, even star players, you're supposed to be made available on a day-to-day basis. And some teams, they have a carve out for, say, the quarterback, where he will do his media availability once a week because of the demands that are put on quarterbacks. Some other star players, but he doesn't have that carve out. And so he speaks when he wants to speak. Sometimes it's once a week. Sometimes it's not for a few weeks. Sometimes it's after the game. Well, it's actually rarely lately after a game. But if you were to walk up to him his locker stall, as I did yesterday, and have small talk with him or get a quick quote about something, he's usually pretty affable about it, and it's no big deal. So he is not. And that's where I think the people who are around the situation in Buffalo know that this reporter was saying it tongue-in-cheek, because he doesn't say that. It was just her way of saying he could just as easily tell me to pound sand, whatever euphemism you want to use, pounce, whatever. She just chose an unfortunate way to say it. She said, she didn't say the word. She just said F you in a joking manner, that he treats everybody the same in that regard. I'm not special just because I work for the team. And it was, again, I thought innocuous. And then it obviously became a massive story. I'm seeing different takes on this that involve a racial component, or the vice versa, that he is punching down on a team employee, man with a power imbalance over the team employee who is considered disposable. And, so it's turned into, like I say, it's a social commentary more than anything else. And here I am talking about it, and not 4 turnovers.
We're going to get to that.
Or the punt.
We're going to get to that. We're definitely.
Again, it's the reality show. It's one more episode in the reality show that got us through Wednesday and Thursday, right? And that's really what'll happen. And it's unfortunate that this reporter was our fodder for 48 hours.
Tim Graham is joining us. He's a Bills reporter for The Athletic. I agree with you. But the thing about this, Tim, I think that is resonated and caught fire, not about the racial component or the workplace dynamic. It's about Diggs. And if Diggs hadn't in training camp left the team when Sean McDermott said that he was worried, it was alarming to him, or whatever the language.
It was minicamp. He was there for training camp.
Sorry. Thank you for correcting. Minicamp, Diggs and his relationship to not just Josh Allen, but also to the team, I think is one that's the bigger picture here. This little small tete-a-tete, that's going to blow over, and you're right. But, where is Diggs and the team? Where's their relationship?
There's obviously still some friction, and we never got clarity. Now, the team feels satisfied about it, and at some point, the media and the fans have to shrug our shoulders and say, okay, the team's whatever. The team has found its resolution. Josh Allen says he's on the same page with Stephon Diggs. Kumbaya. But we never did find out what the reason was. We were told it was no big deal, but then the counter to that is, if it's no big deal, then why don't we know what it was? And so, yes, there is this almost a festering or an unfinished business because we don't know when the next thing's going to come. Now, that's why I didn't view it as a story. This whole thing being silly, this is a unforced error as far as I'm concerned. It's like now here we are talking about all this again. I mean, can't. But here's the weird dynamic about Stefon Diggs is whatever reputation he has for being, finger quotes, difficult, I've never seen it. And I would not fault him for that. I mean, that's why what was said on the hot mic to me was clearly tongue in cheek and totally twisted the wrong way. She apologized. But now here it is. Again, it's escalated. He has a right to vent or to clear his name or defend himself however he sees fit. But there would have been, I think, better ways to have done so without escalating it. And he knows his platform. He doesn't have to call for her to be fired or punished or anything else because he's got to know, he's not naive. His followers on Twitter, the people who read the tweets, they're going to do it for him.
So his brother, Trayvon Diggs, said, get him out of there. There was also some former players who said, bring him to Kansas City. Is there any possibility that there is some real discontent there and he's quietly wouldn't mind being traded? I mean, it feels weird that a contender like Buffalo would make a trade. But if there's this movement, who knows, right? Or
again, that's where I think this is all so overblown, is that now these conversations naturally happen, right? You know, we're looking for the nuance. We're looking for the next feather or like this next little wrinkle. And it didn't have to be this way. I mean, so here it is heading into week 2, and players around the league are now putting that out into the ether that Stefon Diggs either is available or should be available because of this unhealthy situation in Buffalo. So, yeah, I don't think it's realistic. The Bills are a Super Bowl contender. Who are they going to get to replace Stefon Diggs? They're talking. They've had trouble finding a number 2 to Stefon Diggs. They're not going to, they don't have anybody who can step in and fill those shoes. 10 catches on 13 targets Monday night, 102 yards, a touchdown. He's it in the passing game. Now they're trying other things with their tight ends and going to 12 personnel. And, Gabe Davis had a great offseason. He could still fit in there as the number 2 guy, but there's nothing they can do. There's nothing they can do to replace Stefon Diggs. And I don't think they need to. It's
crazy.
But here we are. And I think justifiably so, people are talking about it, especially when guys around the league, like you say, are throwing it out there that here he's on the block or could be.
I think they still smell a little blood in the water. Then the fan bases get involved in all of that. Tim, last one for me, and thanks again for carving out some time for us here on a Friday afternoon, which is
big fan of the show.
Oh, thanks.
Whenever you need me.
No, Josh Allen. It was a horrible performance on Monday Night Football. He knows that. He's owned up to it. My question, because you're around this team and you know this building, is there anybody in the building right now who actually could get through to Josh Allen and say, listen, the hero ball has to stop. We've got to run the offense. There's going to be plenty of time for explosive plays. You're going to get those wow plays. They're going to come. But you can't face a Jets team that loses Aaron Rodgers 4 snaps into the game and then keep playing the Jets as if Aaron Rodgers is on the other side when that's clearly not the case. Is there anyone in the building that can get that message across?
I don't know that there is. And in fact, they've lost a lot of those calming voices over the last couple of years, namely Brian Daboll when he became head coach of the Giants and he took assistant quarterbacks coach Shea Tierney with him. Davis Webb, a backup quarterback who they had and thought so highly of that they offered him their job to be quarterbacks coach. If he were to stop playing quarterback, they were going to hire him, no experience, because Josh Allen and he got along so well, the chemistry there. He turned it down because he wanted to keep playing and adding NFL seasons to his bank account and his pension rather than coaching salary. They lost... of course, Matt Barkley. I mean, even backup, these voices around him just aren't there. And yes, Joe Brady is the quarterback's coach down there on the field. Ken Dorsey is the offensive coordinator. He's up in the press box. There needs to be somebody there that helps in this regard. My teammate, Matthew Fairburn's got a story coming tomorrow at The Athletic in which he interviewed Brad Childress about how you can harness a wild quarterback. And one of the points that he made that I never even would have thought of is how valuable Leslie Frazier was to helping his quarterbacks and to keeping a calm within the building. And so even Leslie Frazier's departure now, and something I hadn't thought of, but Brad Childress makes a great point that calming influence of even Leslie Frazier could probably be helpful to Josh Allen right now.
Tim, sorry, one more.
Defensive coordinator, that's interesting.
One more non-football question. Our former colleague at Sports Illustrated, Jim Trotter, in a lawsuit claimed that Terry Pegula, or he'd heard Terry Pegula had a quote, if black players don't like it here, they should go back to Africa. What's been the local reaction to that story, which is another story that took off this week?
Well, I'm in a delicate situation because Jim Trotter works for The Athletic now. I do have some guidance from my editors about speaking on it, and we're not prohibited from reporting on it.
Got it.
But I would rather not do that anywhere other than at The Athletic. You know what I mean?
Totally.
So I'd rather not say some things here that I wouldn't already have, for my employer. But just to give you my sense, there are people who are divided about it. There's the concept of it being heard secondhand. So there are people who are willing to take it with a grain of salt. But there are also people who are very upset about it, about the possibility that this was said. And what becomes of it, I'm not sure. But the other thing, it's funny. Well, it's not funny. It's strange how that story, followed up by the Stephon Diggs story, has been so dominant in Buffalo heading into week 2. The home opener is in a few days, and we have barely been talking about football around here. It's strange.
I mean, second year. I mean, look at last year. To Maggie, of course, as a Bills fan, there's never been a season like the Bills last year. I mean, if you guys could just stick to football, you might be in good shape.
It's been everything but. Tim, you do a fantastic job. Thank you so much. A Bills reporter for The Athletic, Tim Graham. Thank you. We'll check in with you again soon.
Anytime, guys. Thank you.
Appreciate that, Tim Graham.
I was going to ask him or tell him to give Dalton Kincaid more targets because every time
I try to get that to Ken Dorsey.
Every Monday I try and cheer you up about your Buffalo Bills, and I tell you have a superstar tight end, and you just are so scared that it's not going to go all the way.
Listen, there was not much to take from that Monday night game. That was very good. I'll talk about Dalton Kincaid another time. Okay. It's time to answer our Ask the Pros question of the day, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Today's question comes from Bill, who's in Minneapolis. Justin Jefferson broke another record last night. Is he, without a doubt, the best wide receiver in the league? You can submit a question by tweeting at CBS Sports Radio or at Maggie and Pearl using the hashtag #AskThePros. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. I mean, definitely best wide receiver in the league. We're talking about Stephon Diggs, Tyreek Hill.
Well, Tyreek Hill and Devontae Adams are in the conversation. I mean, listen. I got to tell you, Justin Jefferson could go away tomorrow, and they're going to find somebody to. First of all, they only throw to 2 guys there in Minnesota. Kirk Cousins always has 5,000-yard season, so there's going to be a lot of yards to be had. So I put him right there. I say it's a 3-way tie: Tyreek, Devontae, and Justin Jefferson.
And Jefferson eclipsed 5,000 career receiving yards. Did it in only 52 games. You think that's a Kirk Cousins thing?
Well, I think Kevin O'Connell's offense and Kirk Cousins. I mean, listen, Stephon Diggs was awesome in Minnesota, too. It's an indoor stadium. There's a lot going on there. He's unbelievable, but Tyreek Hill is, too.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're talking about the best, you got to talk about both those guys. And there's other guys, too, right? Who are the Cooper Kupp 2 years ago was the best receiver in the NFL.
Yeah. And how that ship has sailed with him on IR. Another question, this one coming in outside of Ask the Pros. Where is the advice duck today? So we'd like to take this quick moment before Marco gets to his update to do a quick show announcement that we are moving Advice Duck from Fridays to Wednesdays. Okay, so we're going to move the Advice Duck. Fridays are getting really busy around here with all the football and everything. So we are going to move the Advice Duck from Fridays to Wednesdays. It's not going away. You can always submit your questions to maggieandperloff@gmail.com. Tweet using the hashtag Advice Duck, all that stuff. It's moving to Wednesdays. Marco, are you okay with that?
I am. I'm a little blindsided, but yes, I'm
sorry.
okay.
I'm sorry. I know. I feel like I sprung that on
Now you're going to have to come in next Wednesday, dude.
Sure.
Yes. It's kind of confusing, though, now because I'm a Ducks fan this year because I've jumped onto the Oregon bandwagon.
You better.
So now I'm wearing the suit and I'm answering questions, but I'm also rooting for the Ducks.
Yeah, but you better not provide any fodder for Deion next week. You got to be super careful.
My mouth's going to be zip tight. Found out today Deion Sanders follows me on Twitter. Didn't know that. 855-212-4CS. Never thought to look. 855-212-4227. We do make our NFL picks for week 2, Maggie and Perloff style, after this CBS Sports Update. Here's Marco.
Sports Flash.
Now, guys, successful surgery already in the rearview mirror for Aaron Rodgers. Now his road back has begun. Despite having to do this at the age of 39, Rodgers more than confident in himself. It's courtesy of the Pat McAfee Show.
Definitely some odds stacked against me based on age. But I like it. Stack all the odds up against me and see what happens.
Meanwhile, Colorado State head coach Jay Norvell opened up a can of worms when he took a shot at Deion Sanders for wearing sunglasses at a press conference. Now, Coach Prime, he wasn't thrilled, called it personal before their game Saturday night. Also had a little present for his guys today. Everyone received the same sunglasses that Deion was wearing in that press conference.
They don't realize not only we going to kick their butts because it's personal, but it's going to be business, but it's also pleasure. When I say business, blenders. I do a line of shades with blenders. This is one of the first lines, so they don't realize they just help me with business. But it's also going to be personal.
It looks like Alabama's ready to make the switch. Jalen Milroe reportedly heads to the bench in favor of Tyler Buckner when the Crimson Tide will take on South Florida on Friday. Milroe threw a pair of picks in Alabama's loss to Texas. I'm Marco Belletti.
Coming up later on the Zach Gelb Show, it's a Football Friday. We'll get you set for another weekend of college football and the NFL. 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 Pacific.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Got a lot to do here. We've got our shot of the day coming up. We have our NFL picks, Maggie and Perloff style. And we've got this phone call from Jeff in Minnesota, who joins us now, wants to talk about Kirk Cousins. Hey, Jeff, how are you?
I'm great, Maggie, and I thank you for taking my call. I won't take much of your time. I just want to make a few points, if you would allow me.
What's your best one?
Yeah, the first one is I called in several weeks ago suggesting the NFL go to grass fields. It'll diminish the injuries. So I'm glad.
Yeah.
I commend them on their decision to do that.
Okay.
The main reason I called is about Kirk Cousins, our quarterback up here in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Personally, I've never been a fan.
Okay.
I've never been a fan. I think he's scared. Okay? And let me tell you why.
Okay.
He hangs onto that ball like he has super glue on his hand.
Listen,
I'm starting to question whether he can read a line or not.
Really, though, Jeff? Here's the thing. Listen, Kirk Cousins, and appreciate the call. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins, last night, I think specifically, they were down to their third left tackle.
Yeah.
They lost another player on the offensive line. He was under some serious duress. I don't think he's scared. I think he's actually pretty tough. He hangs in there.
Took a huge shot last night on a touchdown pass. Again, I got to warn you, that is not – the Eagles' defense was just saying, keep him in front of us. They can march down the field. Just take a few minutes so we can win the game. I don't know. That was classic Kirk Cousins get – 400-yard game and a loss. I mean, that's kind of what he's known for, right?
Yeah, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, but did have a fumble.
But he had a 123 passer rating. So at the end of the day, you look at his stats and be like, that was the greatest game ever. But they were down the entire game, basically. And then he just had 200 yards in the last 7 minutes of the game. But anyway, no, he's definitely tough. I don't know about the Jets thing, though. I think you and I disagree. I think it'd be too hard for him to adjust to a new offense, new receivers. And how do we know that he would be as effective without Justin Jefferson? So, and that was the thing last night. 0-2 Vikings. A lot of the Amazon guys said Jets should call.
Let's get to our Maggie and Perloff picks.
Maggie and Perloff's NFL picks.
All right. This is rough for your girl. Start out the week. I mean, it wasn't just the Bills and the Bengals and the Chiefs that laid some eggs. Your homie Maggie 0-3 last week. Perloff went 2-1, so you're off to a nice lead.
Well, listen, I'm still mad I didn't get the third one, and I'm sure you're mad about all three of yours. But how did Anthony Richardson's not get 45 yards of rushing? I still don't understand what happened.
You got to leave that in the past. You got to turn the page.
But yours, the DJ Moore not getting 3.5 receptions is probably the craziest loss of the week. I was so
Fire
sure.
everybody.
Yeah, I mean. Who's the Bears off? Anyway.
Yeah,
okay,
enough about last week. We're moved on. We're on to Cincinnati or whatever. The way we do it, one pick against the spread, one over-under, one player prop. Let's start against the spread. I'll just start out really fast. It's a big spread, but I'm going to feel comfortable laying it after what I saw in week 1 and the history between these two teams. Give me the 49ers, lay the 7.5. Again, massive. I realize this is a big number, but you are, even though you're on the road, this does feel like a San Francisco home game because you're playing it in L.A. Going back, Kyle Shanahan winning record over Sean McVay, especially in the regular season, and those games haven't been really competitive. So I'll take the 49ers and I'll lay the 7.5.
What about my guy Puka Nacua?
What about has an oblique injury right now.
Okay, I like that one. I'm going to go with the Jags at plus 3.5. I think the formula for this week is if you have a very good team that started out 0-1 and they're at home, they're going to put a whooping on their opponent, like your Bills. But the Chiefs are on the road. I don't know that Travis Kelce and Chris Jones are going to be 100% and up to speed.
They are playing, though.
They are playing. Kelce did a really funny video where he pretended to limp and then did a little dance. That's typical Travis Kelce. You know, the guy's obviously in a good mood. He's on cloud nine. It's almost like he's in love, Maggie.
I know. Maybe he's dating a pop star. Who knows?
Yeah, so I like the Jags at home being the key factor. And 3.5 points. Jags didn't look great last week, but I think they'll be really up for this game.
I will go to my player prop because it comes from that game. And I'm going to take Trevor Lawrence over 1.5 passing touchdowns. This is the highest over-under of the week. It's set at 51, expecting a lot of scoring. I know Travis Etienne is, good around the goal line, but I still think that Lawrence, who has thrown for 2 touchdowns against the Chiefs before, I like this over 1.5 passing touchdowns.
That sounds like a no-brainer. I love it.
Yeah, that's what you said last week about DJ Moore. Anyway,
it was a no-brainer.
We're leaving that in last week.
Okay, I'll go to my over-under then. I hate doing unders, but this year has been all about unders so far. Justin Herbert this week is at 282.5 yards against the Titans. Now, last year he played the Titans, threw for 313 yards, but no TDs and 2 picks. Ugly game. The Chargers ended up winning that 17-14. I could see the Titans just taking the air out of the ball, just handing the ball to Derrick Henry 1,000 times and just trying, even if they're not winning the game, to slow it down. So Justin Herbert, who only threw for 229 in a shootout against Miami last week because the Chargers were running so much, no Austin Eckler, who's really a pass-catching weapon. I'm going under 282.5 for Justin Herbert.
And finally, my over-under pick this week is going to be Seahawks and the Lions. I'm going to go over 47.5. I think you do see a reemergence of the Detroit offense, the vaunted offense we didn't really see in their win against the Chiefs. That was a 21-20 game. And I think the Seahawks obviously have a lot to correct from last week when they get blown out by the Rams, but I don't think that's the real Seahawks either. So I like the over in that game.
Okay. I'm going under again. Bucks, Bears. It's 41. It should be 11. These teams stink. So, listen, I'm a little worried about Justin Fields running for 250 yards, but I can't see if things are normal here. Neither of these offenses can really do anything, so I'm going under 41.
There you go. The Maggie and Perloff picks for week 2. You can find them on social media. Let's get to our shot of the day.
He shoots!
And the shot of the day is brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos Tequila is brought to you by those who drink it. Today's shot of the day, a little snapshot from the show, comes from Emmy Award-winning actor and comedian Rob Corddry. The Rock is in Boulder. He said he doesn't have a chauffeur. This is like what keeps him grounded, that he drives himself everywhere. Is that actually true or is that BS?
Let's get something straight. And I'm, again, talking to you from my heart. The Rock doesn't get driven. He drives. And he drives this badass Ford pickup truck, and I'm not kidding. I'm not going to say that. I was going to say if he had a chauffeur, perhaps he'd show up on time. But I was just kidding about that.
Just jokes.
We're friends. Yeah. We're friends. I wish him the best.
There was Rob Corddry, who was up on the show Ballers with Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
That was a shot, sort of.
Yeah. Well, now we know a little bit about The Rock. A little late to set.
Well, that was after Rob took a shot at my AutoZone read, which I thought was very professional. But listen, I think I shouldn't have said, "Hey, did you watch the Eagles beat your Patriots?" That's not the way to start the celebrity interview.
You started off the interview putting him on the defensive, but he was great, and he did his picks in a Boston accent, which was very cool.
You did bring up a good point. For anyone who's spent time in Boston, they are the craziest drivers on planet Earth. And I live in New York City.
I know. There's a term for them that I can't say on terrestrial radio.
I don't know that term, but they're terrible.
It's a curse word rhymed with Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Or combined with Massachusetts.
Starts
with Mass, ends with... I can't say.
We know what you mean.
Yeah, okay. But that was great. So we'll see if Rob has a chance to beat Jerry Ferrara in our celebrity picks.
Awesome. Yeah, if you're going to curse or gossip about anyone, just wait till there's a hot mic around and then. I'm just saying. By the way, that was really interesting. Tim Graham today, the athletic reporter for the Bills, really just changed the story for me because he said that. And he explained that the reporter who sort of said something about Stephon Diggs was kidding around, and I believe it.
I do too.
That was humor. Oh my God, that whole situation is so blown out of proportion.
Also said that he has never seen Stephon Diggs be anything but pretty cordial with the media, as much as you would expect a superstar athlete. You know, these guys.
He did say Diggs could disappear for weeks.
Well, that's true.
So yes, very cordial, but it's not like Stephon Diggs is seeking out reporters every day.
I don't think so. No. Okay. Well, that was it. That's the show. That's amazing. We did so much today. Thank you so much to Mike Samter. Thank you to Stu Kovacs. I was about to go to another topic. We have no time left. Thank you to Rob Corddry, who joined us. Ryan Fitzpatrick, who joined us. Said no chance that Kirk Cousins is going to the Jets, by the way. Said they should sign Jameis Winston. Thank you to Tim Graham, as Perloff mentioned, Bills reporter for The Athletic. Thank you to the Weedos, the Purple Drinkers. Everyone have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday.